watching the NFC Championship on Fox.
When you sit down at the drawing board to design a championship team, you must study all the angles, anticipate the variables, and assemble the right components. The Vikings have designed a soaring, high-rise offense built with flexible steel, a fast-track, elegant structure reaching to the heavens, mixed with a well-grounded attack carried out with machine-like precision that can excite and inspire. The New York Giants are a football factory cemented in the tradition of yesteryear, a foundation based on a steel-fisted defense rising up from blocks of granite, and an offense rooted with a sturdy ground game. Both teams have drafted their blueprints for success. For the winner, Super Bowl 35 awaits. It is a wild and raucous sellout crowd at Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands. Lawrence Taylor, Hall of Famer Harry Carson alongside him, ex-Giant defensive stalwarts, as the Giants entertain the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship battle. I'm Pat Summerall here with John Madden, and John, this is the scene. This is where it's all at. The winner of this goes to the Super Bowl, the loser goes home, and the finality of all that is kind of tough to take sometimes.
And that's what makes it so great, and that's why you get fans acting and reacting like this. And I'll tell you, there's a heck of a lot of difference getting here in the championship game and winning the championship game. And the Minnesota Vikings know that, because in 1998, they got to the championship game, they lost the championship game, and that is a real downer. So you want to get here, you want to win it, and then 2 weeks from today, you're playing in Tampa. Now, the Vikings, you know, at the end of the year, they didn't play well. They lost their last 3 games. We saw them in one of those games, and they didn't look like the same team. But Denny Green said the bye helped them. They got their confidence back. Their quarterback, Dante Culpepper, got a little more healthy with that high ankle sprain. And it's going to be on his arm today. I mean, I think because the thing that they have to do to beat the Giants is they have to get the ball to Chris Carter and to Randy Moss, and this is a guy that has to do it. Then on defense, we talked to Emmett Thomas last night. He said that he thought they got away from being aggressive, and they want to be more aggressive today and go after Kerry Collins.
They're going to come after the Giants. Speaking of the Giants, a lot of people thought certainly this wouldn't be the team with the best record in the NFC. They wouldn't be in the championship game when this season began. This Giant team surprised you?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, I think they surprised me. I think they surprised everyone. But the key word is that they've done it as a team. You know, they have a good running game. They have good mixture. They don't make mistakes. They play strong defense. They have good special teams. But I think today they're going to have to do more than that. I think they're going to, as Sean Payton, their offensive coordinator, said, this is going to be Air Force Week. We're going to have to air it out. And I think a big part of it is going to be on Kerry Collins, because you can't play the Minnesota Vikings, an explosive offensive team, and not score a touchdown. On defense, they have to handle the speed of the Minnesota Vikings. And of course, when you talk about the speed of the Minnesota Vikings, you're talking about Randy Moss. This is going to be a heck of a game.
Coming up, the Vikings and the Giants fight for ownership of the NFC Championship. John and I will be back.
It's just us. All right? Everything you ever dreamed of, baby, go get it for yourself today. It's all about winning. It's just about us. Win. Everybody in. Yeah. Win on good.
Welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Welcome back to a rockin' Giant Stadium, folks, where one of these teams is just 60 football minutes away from Tampa in Super Bowl 35. And you know, when you're this close to the prize, you pull out all the stops. And for both teams this week, it meant bringing back ex-players from their championship seasons as honorary captains.
It is heads.
Tell you what, that was a couple of minutes ago. As for right now, Denny Green is recommending that all his players wear baseball spikes, because he says the field's being torn up a little bit. Now, these spikes have a little shorter, a little narrower distance. They seem to dig into the ground a little bit better than the old standard cleats. It looks a lot like this. So both teams to be wearing these, especially the Vikings. It's now game time. Back up to you, Pat.
Game time indeed. And Mitch Berger, take a look at the weather. The temperature at 37 degrees. It feels a lot warmer than that. Wind 3 miles an hour. That's very unusual for this time of year. Partly cloudy. You can't blame the wind and the weather today.
No, there's no excuses. And for championship football, there shouldn't be any excuses anyway.
Berger
just go out and play 60 minutes.
Berger to kick it off. Ron Dixon is deep for the Giants, and he's the man who brought it back. But that's not him. That's Damon Washington. Now Washington down at the 25. I started to say it was Dixon who scored against the Eagles on the opening kickoff last week. This is the Giants' offensive line. Lomas Brown and Glenn Parker, the two veterans on the left. Dusty Ziegler, the center. Ron Stone headed for the Pro Bowl, and Luke Pettigrew. Amani Toomer and Ike Hilliard, the wide receivers. Howard Cross, tight end. In the backfield, Tiki Barber and the fullback, Greg Camella. A Viking shaken up on the play. It's Dane, not Barber, that's going to start with Greg Camella. Pete Bursich injured on the opening kickoff, but it doesn't appear to be serious. 1st and 10 Giants at their own 25. Pat Summerall, John Madden, the NFC Championship game. Weather perfect, sellout crowd. What else could you ask for?
Nothing.
Hilliard is the man in motion. Collins. Toomer. First down Giants. Let's look at the Minnesota defense. Toomer was supposed to be hurt. He didn't look like it. Here's the Viking defensive line. Fernando Smith starting. Williams, Hovan, and John Randall. McDaniel, Kylie Wong, and Dwayne Rudd, the linebackers. In the secondary, Tate and Saranga, the cornerbacks. Carter and the All-Pro Robert Griffith, the safety man. Barber now the running back. Fake to Barber. The throw complete. Toomer again.
And we talked about the Air Force. That's what Sean Payton said. That's what Kerry Collins said. And this is a little surprise to me. Amani Toomer, we were out there. He didn't practice on Wednesday. He didn't practice on Thursday. We're out there on Friday, and he really didn't look good on Friday. And I remember in the middle of the season one time when Amani Toomer didn't practice during the week, didn't play well. In fact, Jim Fossil benched him after that. He's usually got a good start.
He needs to practice, usually.
Yeah, but he's caught 2 passes here in his first drive.
2 very fine passes by Collins. Here's Tiki Barber. Right side for a couple.
It was funny last week when they did the Philadelphia Eagle game. Jim Johnson, the coordinator for the Eagles, for the first time I'd ever heard anyone say that they had a double, a wide receiver of the Giants. Then this week we talked to the Minnesota Vikings, and they also say it. So it's the second time they also say that they are going to double Amani Toomer.
Second and long, the dime package in for Minnesota's defense.
And the left side there is Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator in the Vikings. The right side was Sean Payton, the offensive coordinator.
Camella went in motion. Here's Collins back to throw. Time. Hilliard, touchdown.
The Air Force has been pulled out.
They went to work throwing it. One running play.
LT says that's not the kind of Giant offense I remember.
And you can't throw it much better than Kerry Collins did on those 3 passes.
That was perfect. You're going to see Ike Hilliard here. He starts to the outside, and he just splits them, and Kerry Collins throws a perfect pass. That was just a seam route. Watch here, Kerry Collins knows where he's going. That's called a vertical seam, and he just has Ike Hilliard going up the seam, and he watched them all the way and threw a perfect strike.
And I think Ike Hilliard knew where he was headed.
I think Ike Hilliard saw that coverage and said the ball is coming to old Ike.
The Giants break on top 7-0. They look sharp. The Giants 7, Minnesota 0. Kerry Collins threw for 125 yards against the Eagles last week. He threw for 472 on that drive just now.
Look at that. The Giants are 11-0 when they scored first. That's an omen.
That sure is an omen
For a staff.
Troy Walters back deep for Daniel Isso's kickoff. The ball bounces in front of him, gets away from him. They juggled it, and finally, maybe they came up with it. There's still a scramble. There's still a scramble going on, and I'm not sure who got it.
Looked like the Vikings had it first.
But I think it squirted away from the first Viking. Now there's a fight.
There's 4 officials in there.
The Giants.
What a start for the Giants, huh? We always talk about offense and defense. How about special teams?
Boy, when we got here at 9 o'clock this morning, the parking lot, the tailgaters were already here. And they got something to yell about now, don't they?
See, this is one of those ugly kicks that hits about the 17-yard line, and he just runs into his own guy. I mean, there were 2 of them there, and he got hit by his own guy, and the ball was knocked out of there.
It was Mo Williams and Troy Walters back deep. That was the 2 that got confused and lost the ball. 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 18. Collins back to throw it. Looking in the corner, he's got Camelo, touchdown.
This is amazing. They knew they had to come out and strike fast. They knew they had to pass the ball, but I don't think in their wildest dreams they could have dreamt this.
In no one's wildest dreams would they have thought this.
In fact, that was Greg Camella's first NFL touchdown. But Kerry Collins knows where he's going. He kind of looks off in the middle, and then he throws a perfect strike to Camella. Dwayne Rudd was the closest guy to him, but he had him beaten.
Kerry Collins off to a flaming start.
We've been watching Kerry Collins for a lot of years. I've never seen him off to a start like this.
14-0 Giants. 12:47 left in the first quarter. 14-0 Giants. Here's the kickoff and the fumble recovery.
Well, Troy Walters goes for it. Mo Williams is going for it at the same time, and the ball's just knocked out.
And somehow Lyle West of the Giants comes out there with it.
Now, that's one of those, when you get one of those ugly kicks like that doesn't go where it's supposed to, you never have any practice at fielding that kind of kick.
This is Walters. He breaks out of the pack and gets up to the 40. Good return, short kick.
Greg Camella ran a nice pattern on that. He's going to start here, then he's going to go out and up, and he's going to end up on Dwayne Rudd. See, I mean, he leaves there for a while, and then up there, Dwayne Rudd is about 3 yards away from him. But he made a nice move there to go to out, like he's going to the flat where Camella usually goes, and then he just took it and turned it up.
Dante Culpepper. He has some work cut out for him now. Outside Moss. And Moss. Flag on the play. Moss got a Minnesota first down.
And there's probably going to be tripping. I think Jason Sehorn missed the tackle and then tried to trip Randy Moss.
That's where they threw the flag.
You know, they got that pattern and everyone is running now. It's just a one-step drop.
Tripping. Defense number 31. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Tony Corrente is the referee.
See, watch Jason Sehorn. He slips, and then he takes his left foot and he tries to trip Randy Moss. I will say this, in the early going here, the defense has been slipping. Both defenses, the Giant defense and earlier the Viking defense, has had trouble with their footing on this field.
The Vikings now have the ball at the Giant 38. First and 10. 3 wide wide receivers from Minnesota. Dante Culpepper up under center. Robert Smith. Smith to the 33. Let's look at the Minnesota offense. A huge offensive line. Stussy, Lucina, Matt Burke, David Dixon, Corey Stringer. A couple of those guys about 350. Randy Moss and Chris Carter, the wide receivers. Robert Smith, who just carried the ball. Mike Sasser and Johnny McWilliams. 2nd and 4. Smith again. Didn't get the first. Stopped by Keith Hamilton. He's had a great year. Let's look at the Giant defense. The front four. Jones, Hamilton, Christian Peter, and Michael Strahan, who was so outstanding last week. Jesse Armstead, Michael Barrow in the middle, and Ryan Phillips. Sehorn and Thomas, the corners. Sean Williams, Sam Garnes, the two safeties. 3rd and 4.
The Vikings bring in Matthew Hatchett now, number 89. Then they go 3 wide receivers. Hatchett down here, Moss and Carter up on top.
With Moss in the slot. Flag on the play. Here's Culpepper rolling and throwing. Free play. Throw it up for Moss. Incomplete. Garnes right with him, and Garnes played him well, and Moss is down hurt.
Yeah, that was one of the things that John Fox didn't want to get into, where his safety had to jump against Randy Moss. And I'll tell you, this can be big if Randy Moss is hurt. Well, we know he's hurt, but if he's hurt bad.
Illegal motion, offense number 89. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Tony Carunti explained it to you. I don't know what happened to Moss. It looks like his left foot slipped and got tangled underneath.
Or he fell on the ball.
Maybe.
You see, when he puts his hands up like that, he says he's breaking off his route and he's going to go deep. But Culpepper didn't get the ball up there. I mean, it wasn't in a position where it could be a jump ball. You see, the ball was thrown low, so it wasn't a chance for a jump. I don't know that he just didn't fall on his right shoulder.
Maybe he did. He's walking off without limping, but gasping a bit.
Well, I know one thing that, you know, in that type of pass, what they want to do is chuck that ball up high to him and not low, where he's either going to get in a jump ball contest, and usually against a Garnes, Randy Moss will win that.
4th down, they're going for it.
But, you know, I think here they're in this situation that they're going into the wind. They don't feel good kicking a field goal from here. So I kind of expect this the whole game from the Minnesota Vikings at this position outside the 30-yard line, that they'll go for it on 4th down.
What's to lose? They're already 2 touchdowns behind. Culpepper out of the shotgun.
And they don't feel strongly about it. Now they're going to have 5 more yards to go.
Now they may not go for it.
I think that was a left guard, Corbin Lucina.
False start. Offense number 63. 5-yard penalty.
Now would you still go for it? Moss is back coming in the lineup. Now he's going back.
No, I think
Berger's coming on now. He's got to punt.
I agree that you punt now. I mean, I think you want what they call a manageable down, and that's under 5 yards. And when you get over 5 yards, it's not as manageable.
Ike Hilliard back deep for the Giants. There's been some question about who would return punts. Berger. And this one's going to be into the end zone. No, it's not. The Vikings knocked it backwards. Chris Walsh got down and batted it backwards, and they'll down it at the Giant 2. Good play by Chris Walsh. I don't see too many empty seats in that house, do you?
No, in fact, I'll bet you there's some people that are tuning a seat.
I bet so too. They set a record for the crowd last week against the Eagles. I think it looks like more people this week. First and 10 from their own 2-yard line. Collins is going to throw. Pump fake. Got a man open. That's Amani Toomer.
Well, I'll tell you, this is something. I really didn't expect this, because when I saw Amani Toomer again on Friday, he could hardly walk. I'll tell you, Amani Toomer has done a heck of a job getting himself ready to play this game, and his medical staff and training staff for the Giants have done a heck of a job of getting him ready to play this game.
They really have, and he has. You're right. 5 out of 5 for Collins. Look at that rating. That's off the board. Collins. Back to Barber. No gain. They haven't had trouble with the run yet.
But, you wonder why they even try and run. And sometimes, remember Bill Walsh and the old 49ers? That was the thing that he would do. For years, everyone would start off in the NFL running the ball, establish a run, and then go to the pass later. Bill Walsh would always come out passing, establish a pass, then in the second half go to the run. And this isn't a bad idea. This is kind of what the Giants are doing right here.
A little confusion in the Minnesota defense about where to go and who's supposed to go where. But Barber doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage. Dwayne Rudd. Let's go back down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, when I talked to the Giants yesterday, they said the importance of getting off to a good start is that it pumps your team up and deflates the other team. They start to get frustrated. They start to play tight, and they're not loose anymore. But that's funny, because a second ago, Robert Griffith came over to his teammates. He said, come on, we're playing way too tight. We need to loosen up and play like we know how to play. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, DJ.
The other thing, a good start like this doesn't really get some crowd into it.
Oh, boy, does it.
Sometimes they say a crowd is quiet. You have to give them something to yell about.
There comes a blitz, but there's a Giant receiver, Ike Hilliard, wide open for a first down. And Collins is 6 for 6.
This is amazing. I mean, Collins has had guys wide open all the time, and there's very few passes that he's thrown yet that he's really had to slide it in there. Here you see him. Collins doesn't run a lot. This is an organized rollout. He starts to roll right. Ike Hilliard runs an out to the side of the roll. And I'll tell you, the Vikings are on their heels. I don't know if that's the way they're playing defense or if this field and they're slipping on it is making them get back in their heels. Or Sean Payton's play calling is making them back in their heels.
It fakes to Dane Collins running from Randall. The ball is picked off by Robert Tate. And Tate of the Vikings finally falls down at the Giant 36.
That was a play that the Minnesota Vikings needed, and that wasn't Kerry Collins' fault. He threw it right to Ron Dane. Now, he doesn't usually, if he's going to throw to a running back, it's going to be Tiki Barber.
That's right.
Watch this. He throws
deflected first.
Well, it was deflected first, and then Dane really didn't pick it up. The ball hit him right in the head.
And Tate came down with it. Chris Hoban.
That's it. The ball goes right between Dane's hands and hits him square in the face mask.
1st and 10, Minnesota at the Giant 37.
But that was the jump start that the Vikings needed.
See if they can go to work. Culpepper, a lot of time. He's going to take off, and he can run. He's got a bad ankle, but he picked up 5, tripped up and caught by Jesse Armstead.
That was a good tackle by Jesse Armstead, because Culpepper, as a quarterback, is bigger than Jesse Armstead.
Yeah.
How do you practice against a guy like Culpepper who weighs 265 pounds, but Jesse Armstead is a very good tackler. You see, he's alert here, and then the minute that he sees Culpepper running, he just takes off and lays himself out.
He's also very fast, 2nd and 6.
He's also very explosive.
Yes. Culpepper. Wide open is Johnny McWilliams, his tight end, who can't stay in bounds. He had some more room, but he got a Viking first down.
And they got Armstead. He takes a bite up, and you're going to see what happens. Watch Jesse Armstead. He's going to step up. He's going to step up here right there. See, take the short guy, and they throw it right over his head to McWilliams. This is the thing you always tell you guys, don't take a bite. Now watch Armstead. See him bite up there in the short guy, and then you get the deep guy right in behind him. That's the toughest thing for a linebacker, to see a flash in front of him and not take the bite by stepping up.
1st and 10, Minnesota. Smith is the deep back, and he gets the carry. Robert Smith to about the 22. Keith Hamilton again on the stop.
Keith Hamilton has had an outstanding year this year.
Really has.
I mean, he can do this. He's on. There's 2 Pro Bowlers right there. I mean, Matt Burke is the center, and you see him get his hands on him and then just wait. You know that those nose tackles, you have to be a little patient there too. You have to get your hands on them, you wait, you hold it, and then you come off it.
There's a guy who's always going to be good, and this year he is good.
Well, he's lost some weight, and he's playing every down.
Culpepper back to throw. Up the middle. Intercepted. Emmanuel McDaniel took it away.
Emmanuel McDaniel, they call him EMAC. He's the nickel defensive back, and he takes the slot. You know, with these big corners, it's kind of funny that they put the little corner on the slot. Here, Emmanuel McDaniel has perfect
He just took it away from Chris Carter.
Right. There's 4 hands there, and McDaniel's is 2 end up with it.
14-0 Giants. New York Stock Exchange. Familiar part of New York, the financial district. Familiar raucous sight. The Giants leading 14-0. Tiki Barber to the line of scrimmage, nothing more.
Yeah, if you look at that interception again, Pat, we can see Emmanuel McDaniel's here. Now, because he has Sam Garnes here over the top, he can play underneath, or he can play aggressively on Chris Carter. You see, and that's why he can stand underneath him, because he has help deep, so he doesn't have to worry about that. And then when the ball is thrown, see how it stays underneath? And he can get between the quarterback and Chris Carter.
Collins to Barber. Dropped. Remember, he's playing with a broken left forearm. Not an excuse, but difficult to catch it.
Look at that interception again, and the job that Emmanuel McDaniel does, because right there, all 4 hands are on it, and when he comes down, he makes that twist move, and that twist move is the thing that made that an interception instead of a touchdown.
That guy he took the ball away from has got a pair of the strongest hands in the NFL, Chris Carter.
And some of the best hands that have ever played this game.
3rd and 10. Collins. Open is Ike Hilliard, and Hilliard gets a Giant first down, inbounds.
Tyrone Carter is out here on him. And you just see, here's Carter, and they just run against a zone pattern, and they're not getting a bump on these Giants receivers, so they're just running right through, and Sean Payton is calling a heck of a game.
Yeah, he really is.
Look at these numbers they've already passed. The Giants have for 150 yards.
That's almost as much as they got the whole game.
They don't need any of that rush until the second half.
Last week, here's Collins back to throw again, going deep again. That's the first incompletion. Ron Dixon.
I'll tell you one thing that it does, though, it lets them know that they're going to come after him all day. You know, that they can't get up there and play the run and 8 men in the box and do those types of things. This is Ron Dixon here. He's the speed guy. Remember, last week he's the guy to return that opening kickoff for a touchdown. And they have shots for him. You know, on Sean Payton's list, it just said shots to Dixon. We just saw one of them.
Logical. 2nd and 10. Collins quickly outside. They had a little miscommunication there between him and Hilliard.
That was what they call smoke, where he just takes one step and throws it out there. But watch this. I mean, we don't see many of these things this early or any time in a Giant game. This is 15 yards here. Look at this. He's 2 for 2 to the left, 3 for 4 to the right, throwing the ball over 15 yards. And the Giants, I don't remember the last time you would ever call the Giant offense a vertical offense.
It's been a long time. In fact, I don't ever remember saying that.
How about when the other 88 was there?
Here's Collins going deep again. Another shot. And this one is picked off by Minnesota. That's Don Morgan who came up with it. And the Vikings will take over at the 12-yard line, their own. 14-0 Giant. Next Sunday, the All-Madden team makes its highly anticipated return. Then the biggest debate of the new year will finally be settled with the unveiling of the blockbuster 18th annual All-Madden team. That's 5 p.m. Eastern and Mountain, 4 p.m. Central and Pacific, right here on Fox.
Just 1 week from today, huh?
1 week from today.
And we're still picking them. I mean, there could be someone come up big in this game who would put on a team. Who knows?
That's Robert Smith struggling. Christian Peter on the bottom of the pile.
You know, Robert Smith really hasn't been the same in the last month. He has some loose bodies in his knee. I remember about 3 or 4 weeks ago in one game they got caught in a joint and he had to come out a couple of times, and they can't really do anything about that until after the season, but I think that has really affected Robert Smith.
Injured Viking down. I think it's Corbin Lucina. I know it's an offensive lineman.
At least they have 2 guys out there helping him, though. Remember last week, old Glenn Parker goes down here, and no one came out to help him. This is Corbin Lucina. He's number 63 right here.
There it is.
You see it right
ankle.
there.
Yep.
You know, you see that so often where a guy gets injured, especially an offensive lineman, by his teammate. You know, I mean, they're down blocking, they're doing all this thing. They have a guy engaged, and then they're driving towards him, and they just roll up on the back of his leg.
Chris Lewinsky has taken his place.
He does that all the time. Lucina and Lewinsky switch off back and forth. Lucina more of a pass protector, and Lewinsky a little bigger and more of a run blocker.
They got a full package to handle now. Lewinsky does. Keith Hamilton across from him. 2nd and 9. Culpepper gets back in the shotgun. Chase stays on his feet. Finally gets rid of it. Completes the pass. Matthew Hatchett. Stopped by Dave Thomas.
And you were right about Keith Hamilton, and they didn't block him. But Dante Culpepper, watch Keith Hamilton. He's right here. But Dante Culpepper is so strong. There's Keith Hamilton right there. And he just makes a twist. Every time someone goes to hit him, he makes a twist, and he just runs right out of it. Watch Hamilton again here. He just gets Lewinsky, just like you said. Lewinsky comes in. He gets that bull rush, gets that left arm up underneath, and pushes him right back into Culpepper, but can't finish the job, but did make him put the ball down.
Culpepper again back, and here comes the Giant blitz. And Culpepper gets away from it, throws back across the field, incomplete. He overthrew Chris Carter. And the Vikings will have to punt.
And Michael Barrow, John Fox here sees that. Michael Barrow came on a blitz. And that's the thing that made Dante Culpepper put the ball down. Watch Barrow. He's going to come right here. And you'll see right here, he starts to get the pressure right there. Culpepper tried to run out to his right. Got around Barrow, but was in no position to throw the ball.
Berger back to kick, and the ball came off the side of his foot. That's a poor punt.
The heck was that? He's looking back at the ground. I think, look at that, now he's pointing up to the air.
Yeah. He better point to his foot.
or maybe it's his other foot. Maybe it wasn't his punt foot.
Well, let's see. Just came off the side of his foot. He was out an awful long time before the game working on his kickoffs and punting.
You know, and what shoes to wear and all that stuff. Remember, We did their last regular season game, the Indianapolis Colts, and he had a pulled groin muscle at that time.
Well, yesterday, and the Vikings came out here to practice a walkthrough, really. Berger changed shoes 6 times, trying to find a pair of shoes he was comfortable with.
Kickers tend to do those types of things.
They do. I could only have 1 pair, though.
He had a square toe.
Yeah, that's all we could afford. Collins gets the screen pass out to Ron Dane.
This is one of the things that the Giants want to do, is throw a little more to Dane, because they don't want the defenses to know that every time Tiki Barber's in there, it's a pass, and every time Ron Dane is in there, it's a run. Or every time Ron Dane's in there, they fake to him and never throw to him. So some of these things they want to do to break tendencies.
Collins today 8 out of 13, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of them a deflection. He pumps, goes deep. He's got Amani Toomer. The Viking defender fell down. Flag on the play.
Yeah, they threw a flag out there.
That's Red McCombs, the owner of the Vikings, just shaking his head, and that's about all he can do right now.
Yeah, he walked into a whipsaw here. Old Red's getting whipsawed in this first quarter here. Because they didn't, I mean, if you would have said that this is going to happen, but which team is going to do it, most people would have picked the Vikings doing what the Giants have done.
There was no flag. They picked it up. So it's 1st and 10 Giants. Tiki Barber struggling for yards on the ground and getting only a couple.
This is what they do at the sideline when they get those electronic images. That's Mike Tice, the offensive line coach. And it seems like offensive line coaches and offensive linemen work with those more than any other position. You see, and he's showing them the blitzes and or stunts and what they did, where they lined up, and how they have to pick them up. Looked like Amani Toomer hurt himself again.
Yeah, it looks like he might be limping just a bit.
Remember last week he hurt his ankle and both knees. One knee was a guy still hot soup on it.
Here's Collins up the middle, incomplete with this, and there's no flag. He came up with it. Joe Juravicius was knocked down before the ball got there, but came up with it.
Gary Collins loves Joe Juravicius. They played together at Penn State when Joe Juravicius was a freshman and sophomore, and Gary Collins was a junior and senior, and he said he liked him from those days because he's a big target.
On the way down.
He's a wide receiver, looks like a tight end. Look at that. That is a heck of a play. Robert Griffin was there. Robert Griffin even had one of his arms.
This is Ron Dane behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of about a yard.
Oh, Glenn Parker's upset. Ron Dane can't run sideways. I mean, and I don't care. I mean, maybe in his 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th year he can run sideways. In his 1st year in the NFL, he has to get his shoulder square. And it's easier when he stays inside than when he tries to get out to that 6 and 7 hole or that off tackle hole.
Gary Collins is trying to get the crowd to calm down and be quiet a little bit. And that's the end of the first quarter. That's the end of the first quarter with the score: the Giants 14, the Vikings nothing.
Look at this. The Giants had 3rd and short. The Vikings, confused, only had 10 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The Giants run a play and can't score against a 10-man defense on the goal line.
In fact, lost yardage. Brad Daluiso in to try the field goal.
The Vikings defense has been confused a lot in this first quarter.
From 21 yards out, it's 17-0. Daluiso's kick is good. First play of quarter number 2. Who would have thought? As we open the second quarter, the Giants over the Vikings 17-0. Here's Daluiso's kickoff. Again, it's short. This time it's Troy Walters. Walters to the 38. Statistics from quarter number 1. -1 yard rushing for the Giants, but look at the passing yards. 187 more than they got all last week against Philadelphia. The Vikings haven't gotten on track on offense yet.
You know, it was interesting. Sean Payton said yesterday, Kerry Collins was saying that Sean Payton always puts the onus. He calls it the onus on someone. He says the onus this week is on Kerry Collins and the wide receivers. I'll tell you, Kerry Collins and the wide receivers so far have taken the onus.
Culpepper, ball, his arm was hit just as he let it go. Incomplete, intended for Moss. Corbin Lucina back in the huddle for the Vikings.
Remember what Michael Strahan did last week? Watch him here on Corey Stringer again. Corey Stringer, a big 350-pound guy. You know, Michael Strahan is undersized, but he plays a strength game.
Yep.
He's a bull rusher. I mean, it's all about leverage. Michael Strahan has great leverage, and he just showed it to Corey Stringer.
2nd and 10. Culpepper, Robert Smith, who has outstanding speed, but there's a flag on the play thrown from way back. One of the deepest officials. Checking on linebacker Jim Nelson, number 56. And now the conference among the officials, the referee Tony Correnti. Holding against Minnesota. Corbin Lucina is back in the lineup at left guard.
Holding, offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
Holding against Matthew Hatchett, one of the wide receivers. Takes back Smith's gain.
Remember Matthew Hatchett? Before the Minnesota Vikings drafted Randy Moss, they thought Matthew Hatchett was going to be Randy Moss. They thought their 2 wide receivers were going to end up being Chris Carter and Matthew Hatchett. Then lo and behold, here comes Randy Moss.
Well, they got rid of Jake Reed because of that. Culpepper pump fake. Wrestled almost down, and now he is down. Strahan around the corner. Cedric Jones with an assist.
But here, Cedric Jones comes from the outside. It's a zone blitz. And he stuck with it. I mean, he got his hands on him and just stuck with it. And then Strahan comes. Here's what I don't like, though. They're going to throw over here. But watch Randy Moss here. I mean, they don't run a pattern there. That's that quarters that I was talking about before the game. And that's one thing I don't like about this Viking passing attack. All of their receivers don't run good patterns on every play.
3rd and 14. Around the corner, Mike Barrow came on the blitz, and he really got a great jump.
And that was on Corey Stringer again. We showed where Michael Strahan gave Corey Stringer the bull rush, and then Michael Barrow comes, and he's going to give him the speed right here. He just runs right around Corey Stringer. Corey Stringer was slow getting up. Watch him. See that? He didn't get out of his stance, and by the time he did get to that point where he could make contact, Michael Barrow was already past him.
Ike Hilliard back to field the punt. Berger, still not a good kick. Very short. Bounces away from Hilliard. And the Vikings are down at the Giant 29. $17-0. The Giants over the Vikings. 1st and 10 Giants at their own 29. Collins. Complete. Barber. Not much.
Yeah, here, Luke Pettigrew has been doing a pretty good job on John Randall. I mean, if they're going to get any pressure with their 4-man line, it's going to be from John Randall. And you can see that he gets there towards the end, but Collins is still able to get the ball off. But all in all, in that first quarter, I think Luke Pettigrew has really done a pretty good job on John Randall.
All that offensive line has done a good job. Collins has had time. 2nd and 7. Barber. Let's again send you down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, before each and every game, Giants linebacker Michael Barrow writes down a list of what he calls laws. And these laws are designed to get him in a positive right frame of mind for the game. And among the 3 today, he has be physical and aggressive, tackle, wrap up, explode through the back, and first and foremost, get to the ball, no excuses. I tell you what, after that sack a second ago, no excuses needed. He got the sack. Back up to you, Pat.
1st and 10. Collins gonna throw deep, gonna take another shot. It's Dixon. Made the catch. He made the catch at about the 12. Tyrone Carter was right with him, but Dixon came down with it. Worth a shot.
This is amazing, and this is why you have to take those shots, because you never know what's going to be in the other end of them. And you see Dixon again, the fastest of the Giants, and the guy that when they're going to run a deep pattern and try and get it deep, they're going to try and get him in the game and get it to him. And that was a heck of an adjustment that he made, because that ball wasn't thrown out in front of him. He had to kind of come under control and reach back for that one.
A gain of 43 yards. 1st and 10 Giants. And here's Collins sprinting out and hitting Ike Hilliard.
I'll tell you, Kerry Collins has him going.
Oh, really?
I mean, Sean Payton put the onus on him, and he took that onus.
I mean,
and he's playing this first half with onus, and this is something you don't see a lot. This is the second time that we've seen the Giants run that pattern where Kerry Collins just sprints out, and then on play side, Ike Hilliard runs it out. Look at this wide receiver. They've thrown the ball 13 times, completed 10 for 209 yards.
2nd down and 5 for a first. Collins fakes again and sprints left and throws. Touchdown, Giants. It's Joe Giravicius. He didn't play last week, but he's made his presence known this week.
Yeah, they all said when we went to practice the other day, and about 5 or 6 guys come up and tell me, Joe Giravicius had a great week of practice. I don't know if Harry Carson was one of those guys, but I'll tell you, Kerry Collins was one of those guys that said that.
Yes, he was.
This is what you like about Joe Giravicius. Again, the big target, the closer you get to the goal line, the bigger the target, the better, because you can run him back to that corner and just throw it where he catches it or no one catches it.
He and Collins played together at Penn State for 2 years, so they know what each other can do. So's extra point is good with 10:24 left before the half. It's 24-0 Giants.
This is unbelievable.
They do look impressive.
This is my
24-0. The Giants over the Minnesota Vikings. Pat Summerall with John Madden. And whoever expected something like this.
Look
I
at
thought
this.
The Giants had a chance, but wow.
The Vikings have 39 yards total offense. The Giants have 257.
Mo Williams at the 25. In just 5 weeks, it's the dawning of a whole new era in motorsport as the Daytona 500 and NASCAR come to Fox. See every pit stop, lap, and checkered flag as Fox brings you the 43rd running of the Daytona 500 like you've never seen it before. Fox Sports, the new home of NASCAR.
I tell you, Jason Sehorn has to be doing a great job out here on Randy Moss. He's been lining up on him all day, and Randy Moss hasn't done anything yet.
Well, Culpepper has had no time. Sehorn slings Moss out of bounds. He got 5 yards.
And we look at this, the defensive pressure that they put on Dante Culpepper. And remember, this week it's all coming from this side here. Before, they used to get a lot of pressure, the Vikings did, from this side, but not much from this side. But here's where it's coming from. 2 sacks, 2 hits, 3 hurries from their right side for the Giants' defensive left side.
Culpepper outside. Andrew Jordan makes the catch. It's not a first down as Jesse Armstead knocked him out of bounds.
You know, one of the things people say, you know, how's John Fox going to defend this offense? And the way John Fox does is you just mix it up.
Yep.
I mean, there's no one thing you do. You don't blitz them all the time. You don't zone them all the time. You don't man them all the time. You don't use quarters all the time. But you mix them up so that Dante Culpepper never gets in a rhythm as to what you're doing. And don't you have that feeling that's happening?
I really do. You think John Fox is going to be a head coach?
I think, yeah, I do. Whether it'll be this year or next year, I think he will be a head coach.
The fake is to Smith. They don't get a first down. As out there quickly is Thomas, and the ball's loose. The ball's on the ground. The Giants have taken off with it, but they're saying it's down.
Yeah, the officials just pointed down to it, so that
well, now they've dropped a flag on the play. Red McCombs. It's a long, tough day for Red today.
What happened to your granddaddy that time?
Holding.
Got whipsawed.
Number 85.
Red got whipsawed.
The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Rob Tisch, half owner of the Giants, he looks a little more enthusiastic and happy about things.
And right next to him, Mayor Giuliani.
The mayor of the city of New York. I thought he was a Yankee fan.
Well, and that's what you are. During baseball season, you're a Yankee fan. During football season, you're a Giant fan.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I'll tell you, he does get out. I mean, you see him all over this city.
Berger gets off a good punt. Hilliard back to fielding, but let's see what's going on. Red flag means challenge, I believe.
Right, and so that has to be a challenge on that 3rd down play.
Yep.
Because they got the challenge in before the ball was snapped.
Did they get it in time?
Yeah, because they blew the whistle before the ball was snapped.
Jim Fossil saying it was a fumble.
Yeah, you see that flag coming in there?
Yep.
Yeah, and that was before the ball was snapped.
As long as they get it done before the ball is snapped. Well, Parenti still talking with Fox.
I think Jim Fox is saying that he was down by contact.
Fossil. And Parenti.
This is a non-reviewable play. We'll play 4th down. The pass was ruled incomplete.
Pass was ruled incomplete.
Timeout.
I don't know how. Maybe he hadn't got possession.
No.
Boy.
No,
I don't know about that.
Pass.
It sure is.
Yeah. I can see why he challenged that.
Hilliard made a heck of a catch on the run, slipping down. There's some question about who would return punts for the Giants, but Ike Hilliard's done a good job. 24-0. Giants lead. A bewildered bunch of Vikings. 24-0. The Giants lead them. They're the 2 cornerbacks for the Giants who've done a whale of a job on those Minnesota wide receivers, Dave Thomas and Jason Sehorn.
Yeah, Chris Carter has yet to catch a pass, and Randy Moss has only caught 2.
And 2 short ones. Pete Mitchell was the man on the move. Here comes the Viking blitz. Screen pass called, and it's a perfect call. Tiki Barber almost regained his balance and had a patch of field in front of him if he did.
Hey, Gary Collins came out throwing today, and as Sean Payton said, told him on Wednesday, brought the game plan out and said, men, this week is going to be the Air Force. And I'll tell you, and he said, and the Omis is going to be on Gary Collins and the wide receivers.
He has accepted the Omis.
Right, and we saw in this first half, we saw the Air Force and the Omis haven't been accepted.
1st and 10. Collins back to throw it again. Almost picked off, intended for Toomer. That one was a little high.
Yeah, that wasn't one of his good throws.
No.
You know, Monty Toomer, I was saying last week, you know, he hurt his ankle, and then he hurt his knee. Then on one play, we thought he hurt his knee. Remember on that sideline there?
Yeah.
And there was a guy on the sideline of the Eagles, and he spilled hot soup on him. And it burned his shin. And he said he reached down there, and he thought his knee was on fire. And so he had a burned shin, a hurt knee, and a hurt ankle. And he didn't practice until Friday.
2nd and 10, and he's been outstanding. Here's the draw play to Tiki Barber. Barber to the 40, to the 35. And across. Stopped by Robert Griffith.
Well, they have these Vikings going now.
Oh, they got him on their heels.
I mean, look at this hole here. They get that draw play. He just delays it a little and then cuts back. Like when we were talking to Tiki Barber the other day, he said that's the kind of running that I like to do. You know, Dane do the straight ahead, then I like the misdirection and the cutback. This is a cutback. Start to the right, leave your lead, and cut back when they leave you a hole like that backside.
20-yard pickup. Dane was in the backfield, and Collins is going to run this time. And throws it away. Tiki Barber, as we mentioned earlier, has a broken arm, a left arm. And there's the protective device he has on it.
Right, it's a carbon fiber, and you can see the adjustment that they made was right down here to make it tighter, and then this takes the pressure off the broken part, and then as he gets hit here, it just brings it down to these other parts. You see that seam up the side?
Yeah.
He was telling us it takes 2 men to pull that thing off him when they get it on him.
Here's Collins back to throw. Has a lot of time. Intended for Jurevicius. Flags come flying from everywhere.
And hats. We saw a flag, and then we saw a hat. There's Ron Botchin. He's the umpire. One of the good umpires. Remember when our buddy Matt Millen was the umpire in the preseason, the guy that he worked with.
2 penalties?
Yeah, it was called by the same official, the official without the hat. And it's over here on this
illegal
side.
Contact, defense number 29. Uses
there.
hands to the face of the receiver. This penalty is declined. Pass interference, defense number 29. The ball being placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Waswa Swanga.
And both of the penalties were called on him.
Yep.
Both called by the same official. The first one on that illegal contact to the face, he threw his flag. Then the second one, he threw his hat.
Collins to Barber. Barber, no gain. Kerry Collins already has the 3rd highest passing yardage total in team playoff history, and we're still in the 2nd quarter.
That's amazing. You know, I remember when Ernie Accorsi, the general manager of the Giants, brought Kerry Collins in here and paid him a lot of money. And Ernie was kind of ridiculed for it, and he had to live with it for a while. Kerry Collins had to live with it, but they're kind of being repaid today.
Collins back to throw. Throws to Camella. That's the pass that scored the touchdown. The Vikings are claiming he was out of bounds, but the Giants get that one 1st and goal from there. And that's the pass that scored their 2nd touchdown.
They just have everything going. There's Camella up there running, as you say, that same pattern where it was a little flatten up.
Yep.
Most of the year, Camella had been just running the flat. So when they see him go out there, they take that angle of the flat, and then he bends it or turns it up.
1st and goal. He lost it, but out of bounds. There's the one.
Ron Dane, if he runs this, better run it square into the hole.
Collins is going to throw it. Throws it up the middle, incomplete. Intended for Pete Mitchell, who was open.
Yeah, they like Pete Mitchell as a pass receiving tight end, and in every game they have some plays for him. It's usually out a little more. It's usually out on the 10 or 20. You're going to see this ball's tipped here. You see right there. Change right there. It's tipped.
Yeah.
That changed the direction a little. That will make Pete Mitchell just dive for it. Now they'll run it.
Dane is the deep back. And Dane, a flag on the play. And I think think Dane might have moved a little
number
bit.
27.
27.
5-yard penalty, remains second out.
You're right. When you get down there in that goal line and your number is called, you get a little anxious.
Motion and watch Dane.
Yep.
Yes, he did move.
That's all it takes is that little thing there. But at least he had a second effort. I mean, he had the hit in there, and then he drove the legs. Ron Dane hasn't been doing a lot of that, especially in the second half of this year.
Second and goal at the 6. He got off to a great start. It was thunder and lightning. That was all the talk. That's Mitchell lined up on the right side as the tight end, and Barber goes left. And here's Collins. Camella. Finding at the 5, and that's as far as he gets.
Yeah, it just shows you how those penalties just kill you.
Yep.
You know, you get down there and you have a good situation. You're on the 1-yard line, and in goal line, there's a heck of a lot of difference between being on the 1, because you can run anything. You can run, you can pass, you can play pass, you can bootleg, you know anything, and being on the 6-yard line or 5-yard line.
Third and goal at the 5. 3 tight ends for the Giants. Campbell, Cross, and Mitchell. Camella moves left. Cross in motion. Collins takes off. And Collins throws incomplete. It was intended for Ike Hilliard.
It's an interesting pattern. He rolled out here, and he had a short guy, a medium guy, and a deep guy. The deep guy was Ike Hilliard there, and he was the one he threw it to.
So DeLuiso has hit one from 21 yards. Will have a chance from 22 this time. No win today. And that in itself is very unusual at Giant Stadium. DeLuiso is good again. 27-0. 5:22 left to play in the first half. Tonight at 8, Fox Sports Net presents Beyond the Glory, a new series that critics are calling a must-see viewing. Tonight, Beyond the Glory takes an inside look at sports' biggest stars with Isaiah Thomas. He grew up on the mean streets of Chicago and developed a fury that few ever saw. Take a look at the Isaiah Thomas you never knew. Beyond the Glory. Tonight at 8, only on Fox Sports Net, on your local cable and satellite provider.
You know, there's some family that is involved in both championship games. This is a trivia thing. In both championship games today, one is playing here. One is with the Giants, and the other one is out in Oakland.
Well,
no, it's not Rondé Barber.
That's Rondé Barber, who plays for Tampa Bay, but they're not involved.
And that's Tiki Barber's twin brother. In fact, there's a lot of talk that Rondé Barber, who's a free agent, could be playing for the Giants next year. Talked to Tiki about that, and
he didn't deny it.
No, he said that's a good possibility. You know what it is? Amani Toomer's dad handles the clock at the Oakland Coliseum.
Well, they're both not playing. They're involved.
No, they're involved in the game. Yeah, that's all.
That's Troy Walters. Gets out to about the 28. Lyle West made the stop. The Minnesota Vikings' biggest comeback in the playoffs, 16 points in the 97 wild card game against the Giants. The Giants led that game 19-3 at the half, and the Vikings came back to win.
That you don't have to remind them. Every Giant fan in the world knows that.
They'll never forget it either.
That's like the Pisarcik fumble.
Yep. 4 wide receivers for Minnesota. Let's see if the Giants come after him. Pass is caught by Chris Walsh for about 8 yards. A flag on the play.
You know, the Vikings just don't have anything going, and they don't look crisp. I mean, I'm just watching their receivers, and they're not running crisp patterns. They're not coming off the ball quickly. They're not using their speed, and that's where they had the advantage. And I always thought that if anything, gave the Giant defense trouble.
Illegal use of the hands, hands to the face, offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Todd Stussy.
Todd Stussy's a left tackle here. And, he's going to get one or two of some type of penalty every game. He takes that left hand. You just see that left hand up to the face. They let him do that, but you have to, when you jam it up in there, then you got to pull it back down and get it back in their shoulder pad.
1st and 20. The clock running. 4:50 left in the first half. Culpepper back in the shotgun. And here comes the Giant blitz. And the ball knocked loose. Incomplete pass. Michael Strahan falls on it. He's the guy who hit. That's Armstead who fell on it. Strahan's the man who hit him.
I'll tell you, Strahan and Hamilton are going to be right there about the same time. Strahan coming from the right and hitting him right there. Hamilton coming up the middle so he can't step up. Strahan, these last 2 weeks, has been like the Superman.
Oh, he really has.
I mean, whatever he has, he is unveiled. He took the hood off, man. I mean, he really has. But, again, Michael Strahan weighs about 260-some pounds. Corey Stringer outweighs him by 100 pounds.
Here is Culpepper. Screen pass. Nothing doing. Armstead had it read. Robert Smith made the reception, but perhaps he shouldn't have. Jesse Armstead.
That's the thing that Jesse Armstead can do. We pointed that out earlier, that he can make up ground because he has that quickness and explosiveness. And you just watch him, and then he's a good tackler. I mean, he goes right there where he goes right for the knees and the ankles, and there's no way that Robert Smith is going to run through or out of it.
He saw it coming right from the very beginning.
Listen to this crowd. This is great, man.
Minnesota's got it in exit.
This is football in New York.
Culpepper. Lost the ball, gets it back at about the 21.
And again, Jesse Armstead. Jesse Armstead is really having a heck of a first half here tackling. I mean, he has been all over the field and making every play. And when he zeroes in on you, you aren't getting away from his zero.
Well, that's the thing about this Giant defense. It's somebody different every week.
Although
they all contribute.
It was Michael Strahan last week. Yep. It was Michael Strahan again this week.
And Jesse Armstead, this is a Giants timeout.
I think maybe during the year, maybe Keith Hamilton had a better year as a defensive lineman than Michael Strahan, but not the last 2 games. There's Lawrence Taylor. He was here at practice yesterday. After practice, he talked to the team, and it was kind of fun to sit there. I stood there and watched the guys as Lawrence Taylor talked. Not watch Lawrence Taylor, but just watch the guys, and they know that this guy is one of the greatest Giants of them all, and they all respect him.
Well, he changed the way the game is played. This is Ike Hilliard. And Hilliard spun away from the first wave.
One of the things that John Fox said that he wanted to do was to go after Culpepper. That here's a guy who's really playing in his first year, and they're just not going to give him lanes. They're not going to let him run. And when you have tacklers like Jesse Armstead, he's not going to go anywhere anyway.
That's right. This is Ike Hilliard on the punt return.
Well, that's his feet there, where you kind of make that jump cut, where you jump. Remember, Barry Sanders used to do that, where you jump with both feet, then go back to the other side.
Personal foul.
Personal foul.
Unnecessary roughness. Receiving team number 23 blocked a kicking team player while he was out of bounds. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Omar Stoutmeyer, reserve safety for the Giants.
Well, anything happens here. I mean, watch him. He grabs him by the head, then he waits for him to come in and waits, and then he goes and blocks him there. He's okay there.
Yep.
It had to come later because he didn't block him out of bounds yet.
1st and 10 at the 28. Collins is going for more. Mike Hilliard makes the reception. 1st down, Giants.
Yeah, we're talking about Gary Collins and how he looks confident. I will say that these receivers look very confident too.
Yes, they do.
Amani Toomer, Ike Hilliard. How about Greg Camella becoming a receiver today? How about that offensive line giving him this type of time?
How about the Giants? 27-0.
Who would have thumped?
Here's Collins back to throw it. Throws it outside to Tiki Barber, who lost the ball, but no one. He was out of bounds.
That's the side that Tiki Barber has the trouble because he can't hold the ball in his left hand. There's Michael Strahan. He got a double dip cup there. Michael Strahan, as we talked about last week, never sits down during a game.
That's Lomas Brown. And what an addition he's been to this Giant offensive line.
I was talking to the team doctors of the Giants before the game, and they said that Lomas Brown really gutted it up last week. That during last week's game, he had 3 injuries. And I think the one, there's Ronnie Barnes there, the right here, he's the trainer, one of the better trainers in football. We're going to see Lomas Brown right here. But Lomas Brown came into this with a bad back.
Yep.
That's what it is.
He tried to grab his back on the way down.
Yeah, and then he grabbed it after he was down. But this happened to him. I know it happened to him in last week's game, they told me, too. But then the job that he did on Hugh Douglas.
Lomas in his 16th season.
One of the fun guys. You know, Lomas Brown.
Good people.
Always has a smile on his face. And you know when he talks and laughs, I thought about this week. He reminds me of Bill Cosby.
Yes, he does.
He sounds like Bill Cosby when he talks and laughs.
Coming up on the Visa halftime show, JB, Terry, and Howie and Chris, who are here, will be joined by 3-time Winston Cup champion Darrell Waldrop. He'll have highlights and analysis of the first half of today's game and a live performance by Grammy-nominated artist Brian McKnight. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report.
Remember last week when Glenn Parker went down?
Yep.
And then we were trying to figure out what it was, and they had that wrap around him. He broke 2 ribs. In fact, he told me yesterday that he broke the 2 ends off him. These fans, you know, it used to be these fans were all about defense, and since Lomas Brown came here, I think that they've learned to appreciate some of these old offensive linemen.
He brought so much stability, maturity, poise. Just a good human being, good player.
Well, he brought in a good locker room because you know, the Giants were always one where the defense was always barking at the offense, and the offense just kind of took it. And Lomas Brown and Glenn Parker come in and they have too much respect that they don't have to take it, so the defense doesn't give it to them, and they've become more of a team, the Giants have.
2nd and 4. Barber circles left, and Barber circles out of bounds in Minnesota territory.
This is what I was talking about on Barber's. He can't hold the ball in his left arm, so he has to hold it in his right arm. Now, when you get up against the sideline, you want the ball in your outside arm, and when you can't do that, they're always going to hit that ball from the inside, and that happens a lot. But because of that broken left arm, he has to carry the ball all the time in his right arm.
Mike Rosenthal has taken Lomas Brown's place. Here's Collins back to throw. Hit just as he lets it go, incomplete. Jure Vicious, the intended target.
That was Fernando Smith that hit him, and it was against. We're talking about Rosenthal. Here he is, and here's Fernando Smith right there. You see, they just take Lomas Brown out, so that's the guy that you're going to get excited about. It's the guy you're going to go to work on. Fernando Smith did. Fernando Smith About 3 or 4 weeks ago, was a free agent.
Yeah.
Walk into it.
Lance Sawyer, the normal starting right end, wasn't playing. I mean, he was starting to get tired and run down, so they brought Fernando Smith in to play more against the run.
2nd and 10. Collins throws complete. Caught by Ike Hilliard. Ike Hilliard made the reception. And we have the 2-minute warning. A delighted sellout crowd at Giant Stadium. Lomas Brown, his back bothering him, heads for the locker room. 2 minutes to go in the first half. 27-0, and the Giants are down in position to get more. Jerry Collins is.
And the thing that I don't know when you start thinking about it, but Giants fans and I mean players and coaches shouldn't be, but now look how close you are to that Super Bowl. There it is right there, guaranteed.
Guaranteed, not quite yet.
At some point, you have to think we're about as close to a Super Bowl as you can get in the first half of football.
Collins outside quickly. That's Tiki Barber. Now let's go down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, Lomas Brown took himself into the locker room a second ago to get himself checked out. And as he walked by, he told me he didn't get hit. He didn't fall on anything, but when he was blocking, when he twisted, he felt something pull in his rib. So it's more like a muscle pull inside the rib area. So I asked him, "You're going to shut it down for today? You guys got a pretty good lead." He looked at me and said, "Come on, DJ. You know I have to try to get back in this one." Now, he was one of my teammates with the Cardinals for a while, so if he can get back in, he will be back in. Back up to you, Pat.
Indeed he will, DJ.
Now, you don't play 16 years in this league and get this far and want to shut it down.
Collins again. Ike Hilliard had his eyes on the end zone as the pass is complete.
Because, for an offensive lineman, when you get a lead like this is the most fun football. I mean, this is when all the fun starts. I mean, these guys, these Minnesota Vikings are really back in their heels, and whether they slipped early or they just couldn't take the onslaught, they have not been playing well. I mean, they've been like they're in mud or like something set in where they can't move at all. They're just standing there and watching the Giant receivers.
1st and goal, 1.5 yards. Dane gets the carry and doesn't get in. He was knocked backwards when he made contact. Timeout, Giants.
Ron Dane doesn't hit that thing with enough power. I mean, you have to get your feet more apart and keep those feet going. Dave Thomas is saying, hey, how about how we're doing against these receivers? How many has Chris Carter caught so far?
Coming up on the Visa Halftime Show, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris, joined by three-time Winston Cup champion Darrell Waldrop. Highlights and analysis of the first half of this game. A live performance by Grammy-nominated artist Brian McKnight. That's all coming up at the half on the Visa Halftime Show.
Hey, one thing, Jesse Armstead still has this group fired up.
Yeah, does he ever?
It may be 27-0, but he's telling we got to play this game like it's 0-0 until we finish it.
Collins starts 2 men in motion.
Yep, that was ugly.
Yep. Or 2 men started in motion, I should say.
I think 1 man started in motion, that was Campbell, and the other guy illegally moved, that was Camella.
Twice they've been down here and gotten penalties.
And then Ugly broke out.
Yep.
Left guard offense. 5-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
Poor old left guard. They picked out the lineman when 2 of the guys in the backfield were the ones that moved.
They get a motion. They get Camella moving. They pick old Glenn Parker out. It was his fault.
Sean Payton, who calls the plays. I think that's a big change.
Oh, yeah. And we're talking to Kerry Collins about that. He says that under Sean Payton, he said we take more shots, and we're better in the quick passing game, and we're better in the 3rd down passing game, and those things have sure been true today.
Toomer comes in motion, 2nd and goal at the 6. Collins comes out, throws a grounder. 16 seconds left. 27-0. The Giants over the Vikings.
The Vikings look like they're playing with about 6 or 7 guys over there on defense.
Yep.
And then, you know, they're not getting the pass rush. They're not getting penetration. Their defensive backs are off, and they look like they're just standing there and watching the receivers catch the ball.
You don't make many marks in the win column when you do that.
And on the other side, the Giants continue to go after them.
Yep. 3rd and goal. Here's Collins. Up the middle, touchdown, Ike Hilliard. Collins to Hilliard. Two touchdowns for Hilliard.
8 catches for 146 yards.
And we're not at the half yet.
Yep. As he said, the onus is on. The onus is on you,
That
Kerry.
may be the magic word from now on.
And the onus is on you, Ike Hilliard. And the onus is on you, Amani Toomer. And boy, are they playing well under that onus.
34 first half points is the most points the Giants have scored since the 1956 championship game at Yankee Stadium against the Chicago Bears.
Ike Hilliard just ran an option right there where you start to the inside, and if the defender plays you inside, you stop and pivot out. If he plays you outside, then you continue to go inside.
Ike Hilliard, who played at the University of Florida, looking forward to a trip back to Tampa.
You know, I remember the first time I saw the Giants this year. I came to a preseason game with the Ravens. I was talking to Jason Garrett, the backup quarterback for the 49ers, and I mean for the Giants, and we were talking about, you know, players in the Giants, and he says, you know, the guy that I really like is Ike Hilliard. He said, I think that he can be something special.
The boys getting ready. Chris, Howie, Terry, JB.
They got all their papers and stuff. Look, each guy has 2 guys. Chris has none.
It's pretty good. How many guys you got?
Chris had none. I got none, guys. I'm like Chris Collinsworth. I think Terry had 4.
He did. Walters at the 10. Boy, you talk about back on their heels. Jack Golden was the man down to make the hit.
I hate to say this, it's only the first half, but the Minnesota Vikings are starting to look like they want no part of this.
Look at those eyes.
And the
Short and Golden.
And the Giants, this is as I said, this is when it gets fun. And especially fun for an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You don't get these situations in your life a lot.
34-0. Here's Culpepper back to throw it. Going deep and nothing there intended for Moss. He is surrounded by 5 Giants.
Well, and the one is Jason Sehorn, and Jason Sehorn, you know, felt that he could do that. I think everyone did, and that's why they put Jason Sehorn on Randy Moss. That when you get a jump ball, Jason Sehorn can jump too.
Yep.
I mean, Jason Sehorn is not only their best corner, but he's their best athlete. So John Fox says, you know, we want our best athlete on Randy Moss, a guy that has a chance to out-jump him or jump with him on those jump balls.
You think about how tired John Fox must be after the game is over, chewing that gum, and Culpepper throws it to Smith, but I think it hit the ground first. No whistle. Beg your pardon. Into the half. There was a whistle. That's the end of the first half with the score. The Giants 34, the Vikings nothing. This Fox NFC Championship special will continue from Giant Stadium after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
The VC Visa Halftime Report is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
Who would have thunk it for the Giants in the first half?
Hilliard right over that Kerry Collins to Hilliard. Touchdown pass number 1. Camilla out of the backfield. Touchdown pass number 2 with 2:23 going in the first quarter. There are Joe Jervicius, number 3, and then the 4th touchdown pass back to Ike Hilliard. Once again, at 2:23 in the first quarter, it was 14-0. The Giants, very much Viking-like, as they have dominated and controlled. And what I just said to Howard, the most impressive half of football by a quarterback and an offense I've ever seen.
And who would have thunk it? Kerry Collins, 23 of 34, 338 yards and 4 touches. You said at the top of the show, Jim Fossil said what to you?
That they thought they could throw it all over the park. And after I talked to Denny Green yesterday, Denny said, you know, the only thing that's beaten us all season long has been to play from great quarterbacks. But against Kerry Collins, we feel like we could drop our safeties down and play the run. He could not have been more wrong. What a first half performance by Kerry Collins, hitting all these receivers, Hilliard, Jervicius, Toomer, Farmer, Camilla. One after another has just decimated this Minnesota Vikings defense that has had no clue from the opening kickoff.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about, what a monumental task it was for this Giants defense facing this explosive offense. How could they get it done with their front 7 allowing coverage? Hamilton, Barrow, Griffith, Cedric Jones, Michael Strahan. Remarkable job of keeping pressure on Dante Culpepper and allowing them to drop the extra bodies into coverage. Great play by John Fox. 3 first downs, 45 yards, and it's not the greatest performance of a half by an offense. The Buffalo Bills had us down 38-0 in 1990.
That was my opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Well, I was there and it was ugly.
Well, don't forget, though, the Houston Oilers playing the Buffalo Bills, 32-point deficit. Bills came back.
But no team has ever come back from a 34-point deficit in NFL history. All right, folks, we here at Fox are extremely proud to begin a new endeavor for us, and it's called NASCAR. It all begins with the Super Bowl of auto racing, Daytona 500. And leading our coverage will be the 3-time Winston Cup champion, Darrell Waltrip, the man who is, in fact, he retired as the winningest driver in NASCAR's modern era, covering 1971 to 1998, earning 84 checkered flags. And you know what? Trash talking isn't limited to just football, basketball, and baseball. This guy was also known as Jaws. He did some talking as well.
The bad guy of NASCAR for a lot of years, right, Darrell Waltrip?
Yeah, but I turned that around in 1989 and 90. I was the most popular driver, so all things are possible.
You know, like NASCAR, the speed, you just don't get it unless you're right at that track. And this is very fast out here. What's your impression?
Oh, well, it's like being in the pits. I mean, things are moving, things are happening. You hear things crashing and bumping into each other. Pretty exciting.
Hey, Darrell, why is it that NASCAR has their Super Bowl the first race? The Daytona 500 first race is it?
Because we're all healthy. It's like football. Just think about it.
Smart move.
You bring your best car, you bring your best everything to the first race of the year.
Talk about what you expect in this year's Daytona 500, February 18th.
Well, this is known as the Great American Race. We're fixing to make it even greater with Fox's involvement, with the people we got, not only in the booth, but behind the scenes. The fans at home are going to see things they've never seen before. They're going to hear things they've never heard before. We're going to take them places they've never been before. This will be the best Daytona 500 from television coverage that there's ever been.
Well, I took you places you'd never been before when I made you get in that passenger seat a few years back.
Do you believe I rode around the racetrack, Daytona, with him?
How nervous was he?
You should have called me, Darrell.
How nervous was he?
Yeah, no.
I had no idea.
Oh, you actually drove.
He drove.
He exactly.
Hey, welcome.
Listen,
Did you have waterproof pants on?
he's pretty much a gaper when it comes to racing.
I hear you. Hey, Darrell,
I rode with him.
thank you so very much. We're proud to have you on board, partner.
NASCAR on Fox.
All right,
it's going to be
folks,
great.
Daytona 500 will be coming your way on Fox February the 18th. But if you can't wait until then, get your NASCAR fix by checking out the National Sports Report all this week on Fox Sports Net. Darrell Waltrip and Mike Joy lead a Legends panel featuring Dale Earnhardt. That is Dale Earnhardt Sr., Jeff Gordon, and Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett. That's the National Sports Report right here on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. All right, folks, time now for our NFC Championship halftime entertainment with American Music Award-winning artist R&B Brian McKnight. And for that, we head up to public address announcer Jim Hall.
We'll return to Giant Stadium for the start of the second half after these messages from your local Fox station.
I want you to get together. Put your hands together one time.
To all you gladiators who pulled together toward one goal for the last 6 months, I say to you, so what? That's right, so what? You satisfied with a little division title, a sterling win-loss record, the respect of your peers? Or are you just hungry enough to go out there and show me something? One more time!
With the score 34-0, you'd expect the statistical picture to be one-sided, and it is.
Well, look at the passing. The Giants have thrown for 338 yards, the Vikings for only 20. Total yards 386. First downs, the Giants have 20 to the Vikings 3. And this is a big thing. They had 45 plays, but they only had third down 6 times. So that means that they've been getting first downs on first and second downs. This was a big matchup. Now, again, every time Jason Sehorn lines up on Randy Moss, he doesn't always play him man-to-man, but he lines up on 19 times. They threw at him 4 times, 2 completions for 18 yards.
And the one early tripping penalty. Otherwise, it's been match Sehorn.
Yeah, and then you think, what does Denny Green do? They got the players on the wrong end of the field, Pat. They'd have to switch ends.
That would figure.
Yeah, the Giants were on the Vikings end. The Vikings were on the Giants end.
There's Lomas Brown. Remember, he had a back spasm or pulled something, he said, in his back.
Yeah.
Had to leave.
And there was a thing that he did a week ago, too.
Yeah.
And his Minnesota Vikings, Dante Culpepper, 24 passing yards, 1 interception. Robert Smith only has 6 total yards.
Yep.
And now, for all intent and purposes, he's been taken out of the game. Randy Moss has 2 receptions. Chris Carter has yet to catch a pass.
That is what you talk about, total dominance. The Giants have not punted once in the first half.
That is total dominance. See Jason Sehorn out on the kickoff coverage. I would bet he's a safety. Yes, he is.
Walters takes the short kick. Let's go down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, Jim Fossil said he told his team last night that everybody thinks you'll be overwhelmed by the magnitude of this game, but this game is not too big for you guys. You guys are ready for it. He said their intentions from the very beginning were to come out and pass it often. He said he knew that Kerry Collins was up for the challenge. He said that at the half, he would tell his team, you know what, right now, it's 0-0, and you're 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl. Now, talking to Denny Green, he said it's like Murphy's Law in the first half. What could go wrong, did go wrong. He said it's plain to see what they need to do in the second half. Get the passing game going, get some offensive production, and stop the other team's passing attack. He said their defensive backs have been very lax. They need to stop someone in the passing game. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, DJ, an injured Giant. That's Emmanuel McDaniel, who's down as the Vikings return the kickoff of the second half to get things started. It's 34-0, and they better get something started.
Emmanuel McDaniel, or EMAC as they call him, is the nickelback.
Yep.
And he's the guy that had that interception on Chris Carter down in the end zone.
Took the ball away from him.
He's a fun guy to watch.
Yep.
You'd think that the bigger corner would play in the slot, but they play McDaniel in the slot.
And he's not very big.
Showed me something last week. Man, I almost choked on my pork rinds. But if you want Mr. Lombardi's trophy, you got to show me something more.
The NFC Championship on Fox is brought to you by Toyota SUVs, taking you there and back.
First and 10, Minnesota. Culpepper back to throw. A free man comes loose, and the ball comes loose. And the Giants are saying, we got it. And they do have it. Culpepper never saw it coming, and the ball was stripped loose.
And we talked about John Fox and how he's mixing things up. That time he brought his safety, Sean Williams.
Right.
Came from the backside, and no one sees him or blocks him.
Culpepper's got the ball, but it belongs to the Giants.
Yeah, you see Sean Williams?
Yep.
He comes in, goes around, and as he's making the tackle, he keeps fighting to knock that ball out of there. He came from that right side. He came up late, got out there, and they didn't account for him. They didn't slide to that side.
Nobody blocked him.
And see, he comes from that right side. Culpepper looked like he was trying to put the ball down when Sean Williams knocked it out. Sean Williams is a guy that's been playing well for this defense.
Yes, he has. This looks like halftime never started. Barber taken by Kylie Wong. Ed McDaniel.
You know, look at this. This is the best looking pass chart that I've ever seen since we've been doing this.
In a full game, I've never seen one look
right.
Like this.
The yellow's the complete, the red, the incomplete, and the blue interception.
The TDs, don't
usually
forget.
You see them down in here, you know. But I mean, heck, they got stuff up in here, up beyond, 15 yards, 25 yards. Look at that. I mean, they've thrown them right, left, middle, short, middle, and deep.
2nd and 4. Toomer was in motion. They get the ball out to Camilla. Pass they've used about 5 times today. He gets a couple of yardage. Kylie Wong chased him down.
This was Sean Payton on the sideline a few minutes ago, and you can see what he's doing. He's checking the plays that he likes. You see that he checks off the first one the first time that he does a play. Then if he wants to go back to it, he checks it again. Because that's what you always worry about, is that you run a play, then you don't get back to it. So you make another check when you want to get back to a play you've already run.
Barber took it outside, might have gotten enough for a first.
Poor old Sherm Lewis and Dante Culpepper and Randy Moss. I mean, that's just a sight of frustration over there. When you're down 34-0, it's hard to talk about. What are we going to do in the next series to get 34 points? But I always believe if you ever got in this situation, before you get to the point that you call in the dogs, put out the fire, the hunt's over, you say, let's get a touchdown. That has to be your first goal, is let's get one touchdown. And then you go from there.
The Giants get the first down. Barely.
But before you can get that one touchdown, then you better stop him.
There's the guy who had such a terrific game last week, Cornelius Griffin.
I saw him at practice the other day.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. They keep talking about a 300-pounder.
Fast.
And a 300-pounder, you think, are kind of a fat guy. Some combinations hanging over there. And stuff. This guy doesn't like. For 300 pounds, there's no fat. I mean, it's just 300 pounds of muscle.
Like Culpepper, only bigger. The handoff is to Barber. Tiki Barber dragged down after a Giant first down by Robert Griffith.
I think if the Vikings don't have Robert Griffith out there, I don't think they make a play. Watch the blocking over here. Here's the guy that's their best blocker. That's Ron Stone. And if you look at the Giants, most of the time they run to the right.
Yep.
And most of their successful runs are behind Ron Stone.
1st and goal.
Well, I swear, if Robert Griffith wasn't out there making a tackle, there's not many other tacklers out there.
Collins lofting to Toomer. Touchdown, Giants. He had all day to throw it. He waited for Toomer to sight him in and then just laid it out there.
If Gary Collins doesn't watch out, he's going to break every Giant record today.
He's broken most of them already.
Gary Collins, where in the heck did this come from? You see Amani Toomer up there. I mean, they just have these corners turned around. I mean, these corners, or all the defensive backs covering are just atrocious today for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, the wide receivers or the receivers of the Giants are just having their way with it. And they're playing with no confidence at all.
Collins has just set a new Giant record for touchdown passes in playoffs. That's his 5th. Bill Sims had 4. 41-0 in the NFC Championship game.
Telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Andy Rooney enjoying this afternoon, a Giant fan for a long time. 82 years old today. Happy birthday, Andy.
Well, you know, to have seats here, and these are his seats right here in front of this camera. He's down there in the aisle on the left, but to have these seats here, you have to kind of be old.
Oh, yeah. Or somebody brings you as a guest.
Well, when was the last time that you could buy a Giant season ticket?
I can't remember. Troy Walters gets it out to about the 35. 41-0, the Giants leading. Next Sunday, the All-Madden team makes its highly anticipated return. Then the biggest debate of New Year will finally be settled with the unveiling of the blockbuster 18th annual All-Madden team. That's 5 p.m. Eastern and Mountain, 4 p.m. Central and Pacific, right here on Fox. Any of these guys today make it?
Well, yeah, I was just thinking that. I mean, what Kerry Collins is doing here today, how can you keep him off it? I mean, this is the biggest game of the Giants' year.
This is Robert Smith, knocked out of bounds by Sam Garnes. By far the longest Minnesota game of the day.
And then the Vikings just had to get something going. Here, Corey Stringer gets a good block here. And, he gets Michael Strahan to the inside to get David Thomas caught to the inside. David Thomas, number 41, has to keep contained. He has to keep everything inside him. And he let Robert Smith bounce outside of him.
1st and 10, Minnesota. Culpepper back in the shotgun, looking to throw. Up the middle, picked off by Garnes, right to him. And Sam Garnes gets the 3rd Giant interception of the day. I don't know who he was looking for.
He was looking for Randy Moss is who he was looking for.
Sam Garnes with the interception. First down, Giants. That's Ron Dane. And nothing there.
I'll show you who he was throwing to, Pat, on that play. He was trying to throw it to Randy Moss. Now watch what happens. Randy Moss comes up. Then he's going to come in. Then he sees number 23. Omar Stoutmire is going to come in right there. And watch him. He looks at this guy like this, and the ball goes right by him.
And right into the arms of Sam Garnes.
Omar Stoutmire was in position to light him up.
Yes, he was.
And Randy Moss felt that.
Did not wish to be lit. Joe Montgomery. Right side for about 4. Kylie Wong made the stop. .9 yards allowed per play. 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. They've had a good day. The offense, obviously, at 41-0 has had a great day. By the way, Kerry Collins' 5 touchdown passes ties an NFL title game record, championship game record, set by Sid Luckman. Ron Dixon out of the slot makes the reception.
And the thing that Kerry Collins is doing today, Pat, he's moving that ball around. I mean, It's Dixon. We see Juravicius in there. We know about Toomer. We know about Amani Hill. He's just throwing it to everyone.
Mike Hilliard.
Camella out of the backfield.
Yep.
And it looks like this Minnesota Viking defense is just kind of standing there like they're stuck in mud or something.
And they're running by him.
They're running by. You know, sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, and you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
Campbell gets to Dane. And Dane lowers his head and shoulder and gets about 5. Keith Hamilton over on the sideline getting a little well-deserved rest, but what a year he's had.
You know, last week I was at practice and he was sitting. He doesn't like to admit this, but because he lost some weight, but he was sitting on the water thing. You know, that water, that plastic water cooler, the big water thing.
Yes.
He was sitting on it and it started to crack. And I swear I heard 3 cracks.
And he's lost some weight.
No, and he lost some weight, but he put the whole thing on the bucket, and he got 3 cracks out of the bucket, I swear.
Collins to Dane to the 30 of Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the way Dane has to run. I mean, you know, he can't, you know, I mean, you start from the center and you go out with your holes like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, and this is the area that Dane has to run in. I mean, he has to stay in those 4 holes and 5 holes and 2 holes and stuff. He's not good in the off tackle holes, which would be the 6 and 7, or the outside, which would be the 8 and 9.
Now it's fun to start running the ball.
When you're ahead 41-0, everything becomes fun.
Dane again. That game that Collins, that game that was the record was set by Sid Luckman, was 1943. That was when the Bears beat the Redskins 73-0.
And we have to go all the way back to Sid Luckman to find
We have to go all the way back to Sid Luckman.
Well, I mean, that's a day. You're having a game when you go back to Sid Luckman. I mean, you think somewhere along the line there'd be some Staubachs or Montanas or Carpenters or someone in there, Stablers, Lamonicas. None of those guys. I mean, you go all the way back.
All the way back to Sid Luckman.
Sid Luckman, and then to Kerry Collins.
And Kerry Collins has tied the record.
That'll be Hornswoggle. I mean, but you know, he came out that way today. I mean, he came out and he was just going for it, and he just went after him.
Actually, that wasn't the 73-0 game. That was 41-21. And the Giants have 41 today.
Minnesota Vikings doesn't look like they're going to get 21, does it?
Doesn't.
That's the way they've been playing. It doesn't look like they're going to get 1.
Collins. Buying time to the sideline. Ike Hilliard made the stab and made the catch from Collins.
You know, it's that old thing that success breeds confidence. I mean, you know, when you have a day like this, you could throw anything on one end, and on the other end, you can catch anything. And that was just enough to put the Giants in position that they can try a field goal.
Galuiso has hit twice from 21 and 22 yards. This one's from 43. That one's going to get there as well. Hits the upright and is no good. It hit the upright. He might as well stop right there. The ball's dead.
Yeah, but the officials didn't blow the whistle right away.
No. Ball goes back to where it was kicked from. 41-0. 41-0. 6:03 left in the third quarter. Listen to this.
That's the definition of the word doink.
The gong has sounded.
That's where when leather hits pipe equals doink.
Here come the towels and the stands and Jesse Armstead encouraging.
Well, he did that last week, remember? He saw all the towels in the stand, and he told the equipment guy to get him one, and he put it in his pants and took it out in the field, and every chance he had, he would start the thing going.
Culpepper. To Tate. To Walsh, beg your pardon. Chris Walsh.
Remember last week they come in and they all had those towels, and here's how they got them as they walk in. The guy tells them wave them. Like what do you think you were going to do? Eat your lunch on them?
A little pretzel.
Blow your nose on them?
Never heard.
I said wave them.
Three-man rush for the Giants. Pass from Culpepper to Walsh again. Is that Glenn Parker?
Yeah, that's old Glenn Parker. Yeah, he, as I told you earlier, he said that in that shot he took last week, he broke 2 ribs.
Yeah, I'd recognize his steam anywhere.
And he said it knocked the end of the ribs off. And I said, well, what'd they do with the end of the ribs? And he says, they just leave them there. I said, what happens to him? He said, I don't know what happens to him. I'll find out after the season.
Yeah. Not going to miss anything now. Culpepper gets to Smith. First down, Minnesota. 5 minutes left.
And you have
Chris Carter still hasn't caught a pass.
That's amazing. And you know, one of the things that Dante Culpepper and Sherm Lewis and the Vikings always tried to do was to get Chris Carter involved in the game early. I mean, they've been doing that for 10 years, and they didn't do it today.
Culpepper outside. Again, it's Walsh. I guess that means spy on him this play.
Yeah, that's the old spy signal there. Look at that. Chris Carter has still caught no passes. Randy Moss has still only caught 2. And when we talked about the things that the Giants had to do on defense, is that was kind of control these guys. You know, you wouldn't use the word stop these guys, shut out these guys, because you know that they can't do it. But lo and behold, look what they're doing.
Both of them are split wide to the left this time as they give it to Robert Smith. And Smith is close to first down yardage for Minnesota. Not quite. Michael Strahan made the stop.
You know, Chris Carter is talking about retiring this year or not retiring.
What would you think?
I think he's not going to retire. I would think that he has too much passion for this game, and he's in too good a shape, and he works too hard, and I don't see any reason why he should, and I don't believe he will. And he's already told Dennis Green what he's going to do.
This would deflate your passion a bit. Moss. No flag. Defense by Sehorn.
Sehorn did a heck of a job. I mean, that's one of the things you have to like about Jason Sehorn, is that he's gone out there not only to cover but to fight. You look at these Vikings; they only have 22 runs, which would be run after the catch. Of course, when Chris Carter doesn't catch any passes and Randy Moss only catches 2, you're going to have that. You see how Jason Sehorn is not only covering him, but he's fighting him?
Yep. Too many people are intimidated by him. Here comes the giant blitz. Culpepper can't get away. Armstead was the first on the scene. Flag on the play.
I have no idea what they're doing. I have no idea what Randy Moss was doing on that play.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, offense, number 77. The penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Called against Stringer.
There's Stringer right there, up here on the right. He's having a tough time out there
with Strahan. It looks to me as if the Giants have the snap count. They're getting off on the ball when the Vikings have the ball better than Minnesota is.
I think they got the whole play. I think they're lining up in their huddle.
Yep. Culpepper threw it away. Smith was out there. Culpepper's down.
There's Cornelius Griffin, the guy we were talking about. And, 300 pounds, but here he is right here. And I mean, this is 300 pounds a man. I mean, look at those arms and legs. I mean, he moves like a linebacker. There's nothing about him that's 300 pounds, except where he tips the Toledos.
He's from some little town in Alabama, 3,000 people. He said they'll all be watching or they'll all be here. One of the two. They'll all know and everybody will call.
There's a fight down there. Yeah, they have to throw a flag.
Yep.
Trent Walters just punched the guy. I mean, he has to call that. The first official didn't know what to do. He just threw his hat in there.
Roy
The second official threw the flag.
And Ramos McDonald.
Troy Walters punched McDonald. So you never know who they see.
Right. Usually it's the one who arrives second.
But I saw Walters. Here it is right down here. That's after the play. And they're still going. Right there. That's where Walters punched her. Right there, he punched him twice. He gave him a right, then came back with a left.
And then they tried to stare each other down.
Well, that's frustration on the Walters' spot. And then you wonder why the Giants would even be in anything like that.
I think
it has to be a 15-yard penalty on Walters. I mean, unless they didn't see the whole thing.
McDonald shoved the back of his head down right at the beginning.
The official that has his hat off, he called 2 penalties, or his hat is off because the guy was hitting him out of bounds. That was for being out of bounds. Then the second one was for Walters hitting him. So we may have 2 penalties there.
Super Bowl, you can hear the chant from the Giant
Personal
crowd.
foul, receiving team number 25. Blocked the player while he was out of bounds. At the conclusion of the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Kicking team number 23. This player has been ejected from the game. By rule, the yardage of these penalties will cancel each other out. First down.
I thought it was Troy Walters, number 82, that punched.
Yeah, it was.
They threw the wrong guy out.
Is he out?
No, they said that threw 23 out.
23. 41-0. That's Troy Walters, number 82, who's been ejected. They're escorting him to the Viking locker room. Here's what caused it.
Ramos McDonald is 25, and he got the penalty for hitting him out of bounds.
Right.
That was the first penalty. And Troy Walters got the penalty for slugging him and the ejection. They just had the wrong number.
On first down. It's Dane, and that's one of those directions in which he should not run.
He should not run in that direction.
Look at the times, the number of times you see on that page, record, the word record.
Kerry Collins, 372 pass yards, team record, 5 touchdown passes, ties championship record, 27 completions, team record. Look at I Kill You.
Yeah.
9 receptions, ties team record, 2 TD receptions, ties team record, 34 first half points, 461 total yards, 25. They got everything to get. And we still got a lot of ball to be played here.
Here's Dane again. Out to about the 24 and a half, 25 maybe. Let's go down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, I'm standing here with a guy that you guys are very familiar with, LT. LT, you know, when you look at this Giants team, what strikes you the most about them?
Well, I tell you, they're playing dynamic football. You know, I've been on 2 Super Bowl teams, and I tell you, none of the teams I were on did it quite like they're doing it today. This is great.
All right, now 10 years ago, down in Tampa, Giants won the Super Bowl. Is it looking good again this time?
Well, you know, they're playing Burry-inspired football, and I think right now they feel that they can win, and that's the most important part. They know they're doing something special, and their process is doing something special. I look forward for them to take this game in Tampa.
You got the blue and red on here. That Superman jersey sort of looks Supermanish right there.
No, this is my Giant jersey. Go Giants.
Thanks a lot, LT.
Thank you.
Back up to you, Pat and John.
I'll tell you, he was the best in all the years. This is This is our last game of 20 years. And here he is before the game, and he kind of always stayed pumped up, but he's the best defensive player that I've seen in that time.
Well, he's the guy, when you broke the offensive huddle, you look for number 56 because you better know where he was coming from.
And there's not a lot of defensive players that ever played that could win a game. Lawrence Taylor could win a game on defense.
Not only could he win a game, he changed the game.
Yeah, and we saw him where he would get where guys just didn't want to play. I mean, there was no way that they could block him. You know, he changed the way they blocked. He changed everything.
There's Jason Garrett. You know, Kerry Collins is just 8 yards away from Troy Aikman's all-time championship game record in passing yards. He needs 8 yards to break Aikman's record.
Yeah, the Giants still haven't punted in this game, have they?
Yeah, that should be the record breaker right there. That's Amani Toomer.
This is amazing.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Giants 41, the Vikings nothing. This Fox NFC Championship special from Giant Stadium will continue after a word from your local Fox station.
You're watching Football is brought to you locally by the New York Stock Exchange.
Recognize her?
Angie Harmon.
Yep. Gonna marry Jason Sehorn.
Yeah, she has
in June.
She has that towel she's supposed to be waving, and she's pounded it.
She has reason to be happy, and we're about to witness the Giants' first punt today. Brad Maynard. Randy Moss back deep for the Vikings to return it. He's going to let it bounce. Or he let somebody else handle it. That's Chris Walsh. He looks like about the only Viking that has any zest for playing anymore.
Robert Griffith does, though, too.
Yeah, he does. 41-0. The Giants lead it. A quarter to go.
The NFC Championship on Fox is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Fidelity, all the expertise, service, and technology to help you see yourself succeeding. By Dell. And by Blockbuster, bringing entertainment home.
Nothing. A quarter to go. The Giants leading Minnesota. Viking ball. Dante Culpepper out of the shotgun formation. Up the middle. Chris Carter makes his first reception today. First pass he's caught all day. Chris Carter.
You know, and that's the thing that, you know, they never did get him in the game.
No.
And that was the thing that we talked about, that they didn't get Randy Moss in the game, and Randy Moss has been out of the game for some time, and if Chris Carter catches his first pass, and obviously it's too much too late.
Sehorn out on Moss. The pass is to Carter. He gets down. Picked up only about a yard, perhaps. Mike Barrow, the tackler.
You know, sometimes you change your goals in the game, as we watch John Fox make those defensive calls. You know, with all those concerns, see, he has to call a front, then he has to call a linebacker alignment, a secondary alignment, and then a coverage. And then if there's a line stunt, that has to be in that call.
Culpepper. Moss out of bounds.
You know, it was funny. I was watching practice the other day, and Wellington Mara was there, the patriarch, the owner of the Giants, the 50% owner of the Giants, who's always been a Giant, and you see him at practice, and you just kind of feel good for him. I mean, it's the guys like Wellington Mara that made this game, that you know, supported, to have the passion for what it is today.
It's staggering when you think about his father, Wellington's father, the pass caught by Carter. Bought. There's Wellington Mara, 10 o'clock this morning.
By himself, walking the field.
His father bought this franchise back in the 20s for $500. $500. And he hasn't missed, I don't think, except for the time he was in the Navy, any practices or games since then.
Well, you know what I like about him in practice? He had to leave early. He knows the timing. So he leaves early because he wants to be first in line for lunch. And I said, you mean if you got there 10 minutes later,
they're save you any lunch?
Yeah, they're not going to give you any or let you go to the thing. But that's not the kind of guy Wellington is. I mean, if he's going to have lunch with the team and he wants to eat first, he's going to leave first and get there in line.
I just thought I'd ask him how good he thought this team was. And he said, well, I'm not sure they know how good they are. Well, they do maybe now.
I had the feeling that in talking to Jesse Armstead and Michael Barrow that they knew how good they were.
Pass incomplete. Walsh and Carter got messed up on their patterns. Yeah, I think so too. I was talking to Ernie Accorsi. We saw Jason Garrett a minute ago. Ernie Accorsi is the general manager for the Giants, but I was talking to him the other day at practice. And he was saying of all the acquisitions he's made since he's been the GM, one of the best ones was Jason Garrett because he has helped Kerry Collins so much.
Yeah, Jason Garrett helps everyone because he's one of the smartest players in football, and someday he's going to make a heck of a coach if that's what he wants to do.
If he wants to do that.
Jason Garrett would be a great coach.
Well, his dad was a coach, is a coach. Culpepper, a lot of time. Intercepted by Sehorn in the end zone. He timed it perfectly. That's an athlete.
Yeah, what's that thing about Will?
Yeah.
The Giants have broken the Minnesota Vikings' will. The Giants have taken their will. The Giants have the will now.
Amazing.
We can expect.
Kerry Collins, who's set records, tied records, 28 out of 39, 381 yards. That breaks Troy Aikman's championship game record. 5 touchdown passes. We told you that broke Phil Simms' record for the Giants. And now Jason Garrett, the quarterback. Joe Montgomery gets the carry, picks up about 3.
Jim Fossil was saying an interesting thing yesterday about Kerry Collins. He was saying that in his 6th year, he's somewhere between a young quarterback who doesn't know it yet and a know-it-all quarterback. I mean, he hasn't gotten to the point where he knows it all, but he's smart enough that, he's pretty good. And he said that's a good area, a good time frame for a quarterback. And then he showed today what that time frame was.
Jason Garrett came here from the Cowboys after many years, backing up Troy Aikman. Hand off to Montgomery. Out to about the 28. Kerry Collins has done one heck of a job of turning his life around. I mean, you think of all the things that have been said about him, some true, some not. Quarterback Carolina to the championship game when he was there in his 2nd year. He got accused of being a racist, got accused of being an alcoholic. Checked himself into Menninger's clinic. Went through 2 sessions there on his own. And now he's taking his team to the Super Bowl. Montgomery again.
But you can just see that he's such a different guy. We knew him at Carolina and he was younger. We knew him at New Orleans and knew him when he first came here. And each time you can see, a different Kerry Collins. There's Harry Carson. He looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, he does.
He's going down the line, shaking everyone's hands like he's getting out of it. He's getting his hat. John Fox, the defensive coordinator, is looking around at Harry Carson. He's not even watching the field. Well, the offense is out of it.
His unit's done its work.
Kerry Collins has thrown every pass for the Giants this year. So if Jason Garrett throws one, that'll be the first time.
Montgomery again. And they'll move the stick. Kerry Collins touchdown package. That's number 1 to Ike Hilliard.
And these were all strikes.
That's 2 to Greg Camella. Scrambling. That's 3 to Juravicius. To Hilliard again. To Amani Toomer. Those are the 5.
Yeah, he really did spread it around, but Hilliard and Amani Toomer had big games too, and other guys caught a lot of balls. Of course, that's what happens when you break records, isn't it?
Well, you know, the Giants caught a lot of grief when they signed Kerry Collins.
There's 3 of a kind to draw too.
Bradshaw, Strahan, and Taylor.
3 pretty good ones. 2 of them are in the Hall of Fame, Bradshaw and Lawrence Taylor, of course. And
yeah, the Vikings kicker, Gary Anderson, who has been of little use today, played with Terry Bradshaw back with the Steelers.
Yeah. Gary Anderson broke George Blanda's scoring record this year.
Yeah. 3rd and 4. Jason Garrett to Montgomery. Montgomery first down. Phil McConkey.
He's the guy that started the towels. Remember, he used to come running out and he'd lead the team out and start waving the towel, and he'd get up on the bench and waving the towels. And
he's the guy who started the whole thing with the towel.
McConkey, too small to play, too slow to play.
The towel was bigger than he was.
Out of Navy.
Still is.
He was a tough little guy, though.
Oh, man.
McConkey, what a punt returner he was.
A clutch pass receiver. Again, across midfield into Viking territory. You know, the Giants, in their 2 championship games they played in this stadium, in Giant Stadium, have been unscored upon. The other one was a 17-0 shutout of the Redskins. This one 41-0 today. There's Ernie Accorsi. We were talking about the general manager a minute ago.
Yeah, and Ernie Accorsi was really the guy responsible for bringing in Kerry Collins, and it took a little heat for it.
Yes, he did.
Now he's getting kisses for it. Who would have thought?
Ernie said, before he signed Kerry Collins, he called Joe Paterno. That guy's wearing my old helmet.
Number 7.
Change the numbers. 70.
This is where he was at 7:30 this morning.
How you like this? Reserve parking.
Mel Hine and Pat Summerall. The old leather helmet.
You notice he didn't miss.
He was a straight-ahead kicker, too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
There's a good picture right outside our booth here of you in a Giant uniform carrying a football.
I know what to do with it. How's that for a cliche? Jason Garrett's to Ike Hilliard. Here the guys, or some of the guys, who don't get enough credit. That offensive line, what a job they've done.
Well, they started off, when Kerry Collins was making all those throws and coming out and getting that confidence, it takes an offensive line to give you that. I mean, if they don't give him protection, if he starts getting hit and nicked around, that can't happen. But these two guys there, Lomas Brown and Glenn Parker, have been 2 great additions for this Giant team this year.
Montgomery tackled in the backfield. Robert Griffith.
The fans are starting to yell, Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
Well, they can yell now.
Yeah, then
make your reservations.
Right, then they have 2 weeks, and they'll find out later today when the Raiders and the Ravens play to see who they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But I tell you, this is a great way to finish a championship game when you got your backups in there, your backup quarterback. I tell you, Jim Fossil has to feel great. I've been in championship games, and I've been in both ends of them. I've won them and I've lost them, and I'll tell you, you know, the feeling, this feeling that you go into the Super Bowl is one of the greatest feelings you'll ever experience.
Montgomery again. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Sandy Grossman. None better than that pair. The associate director, Mike Roig. The broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Wayne Wilson. The technical producer is Bob Muller. The pregame show was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The associate director, Jennifer Love. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill.
And we also want to thank all the technicians, all the camera people who have been with us all year, everyone here in the booth.
Garrett is sacked, but there's a face mask violation, I'm sure, against Minnesota. Going back to what I was saying about Kerry Collins, Ernie, of course, he said he called Joe Paterno, and Paterno will give you a straight answer, Ernie said. And he called him twice and asked about Kerry Collins.
Grabbing the face mask, defense number 93.
And Paterno said twice,
penalty,
I love the kid.
First down.
And based on that recommendation and his own opinions and his own observations, that's how he signed, that's before he signed Kerry Collins.
And Joe Paterno, as I know, Joe Paterno probably said to Ernie Accorsi the second time he called him, so why are you calling me again? I already told you.
Probably did. Montgomery rips down to the Viking 29-yard line. They're getting the Gatorade ready to throw.
But what they're doing is they're taking the ice out of it. Remember, this is where it started.
Carson Parcells
trying to get Bill Parcells. Well, Parcells had some pretty good moves back in the day. And they set up, Bill Belichick set up Harry Carson.
He still got some pretty good moves.
Jim Fossil got a double dip last week.
Yeah.
They got him a couple of times.
They'll get him again. And they got Fox last week too, didn't they?
Right, they sure did. They had like 3 or 4 buckets going at the end of the game.
Garrett to Montgomery.
You know, and another guy that's here, Pat, that I think is something special to all of us is Matt Millen.
Yeah.
Matt Millen doing the game for radio. He's been with us at Fox and before that at CBS, and now he's going to the Detroit Lions. He's the president and CEO, and this is kind of his last game, and he's been special to all of us.
Yeah,
he's a guy that, you know, when we needed something, he was always there for us, and you know, I mean, he's the first guy in the booth. And
if I've ever seen or known anyone who really, there it goes. Paso. Montgomery gets the carry.
Jim Fossil, how could he not know better?
Well, he knew it was coming.
No, he didn't know it was coming.
Of course he did.
No, you got to get in a hunker or
sure
something.
He did.
No, you saw Parcells.
Yeah.
Parcells knew it was coming. Watch him. I mean, that's terrible. And when you get a hit like that, that's terrible. I mean, you should never, ever, ever in your life take a hit like that.
Did that? You had some Gatorade this morning.
I know I did.
You were feeling bad when we got on the bus this morning.
I was dehydrated. I had to go into the Giants locker room and get some hydration.
People don't know you played hurt today either. Montgomery burrows and I think got another first down. A 2-bucket job on Fossil and on Fox. Fox looked like he got water. And that was Gatorade.
I wonder if they'll get Sean Payton. That would be next.
Yeah, he's not expecting it.
He's the offensive coordinator. Jim Fossil, of course, the head coach.
Well, he keeps turning around.
Look at that in this half, Pat.
Yeah.
The Vikings, 6 minutes. The Giants over 21 minutes. What a job they've done.
They just made another first down. 41-0 the score in the event you might have just joined us. 2:19 left. The Giants over the Vikings.
You know, and Dante
Who would have thought, indeed?
Now, I was just going to say, Dante Culpepper has been such a great job this year.
Here comes.
This happened.
Here comes. Now let's see you take notes.
Did you see him? That's a good play caller, though. Sean Payton was right in the middle of calling a play, and he didn't miss
Never missed a beat.
He took the water in the head and kept calling the play.
2 minutes to go.
To a Super Bowl.
Giants lead 41-0.
Now this is Larry McDuff here. He's the special teams coach. Watch what you get if you're a special teams coach.
A few cups.
If you coach, you don't even get a bucket. The head coach and the coordinators get buckets.
Yep. Well, Jim Fossil, he said when his team was down, I guarantee you this team is going to the playoffs. And they're headed for the Super Bowl.
Well, it was after that Detroit game, and I think there was a lot of division in the team and in the organization. And
there's Matt Millen.
There's Matt Millen right there, who's going to run the Detroit Lions.
There's Matt as a player, a Raider.
Yeah, he was a heck of a player. I mean,
they loved it.
Matt won 3 Super Bowls with different teams. This is when he helped me in the All-Madden team.
Yep.
This is when he built our Hall of Fame thing. Matt Millen has been a big, big part of the All-Madden team. We even stuck him on the field once.
Yep. Stuck him up. This has to be one of the longest afternoons, mornings, whatever, in history for the Vikings. It's the first time they've ever been shut out in their playoff history, and they've been to the playoffs a lot.
And this guy here, Dante Culpepper, in his second year, starting for his first year, had an outstanding year. I mean, and he's an outstanding guy, and he's going to be back to a lot more of these games. But today wasn't his day.
Today was the day of the Giants. As they get prepared for 2 weeks from now against either the Raiders or the Ravens. Championship T-shirts already made.
And the caps, it doesn't take them long to get it out.
It doesn't. Let's go down to DJ Johnson real quick as you look at Bob Tisch.
Hey, Pat and John, the sound you hear is the sound of the team. It just made it to the Super Bowl. They've even got the sideline reporter a hat. I mean, this is getting good down here. You know, I talked to Jesse Armstead yesterday. He said no matter what they've done this year, they can't get the respect they deserve. He said sometimes if they don't give it to you, you just got to go out and take it. They went here and took it today. Back up to you, Pat.
All right, you better get that hat cut down in size a little bit.
No, Lomas Brown was standing right behind him, and when he got off camera, Lomas was going to take it back. I'll guarantee you he didn't let DJ keep that cap.
Timeout call, I'm not sure by whom. 41-0. Already got a phone call from Tampa. There is Wellington Mara and his wife Ann next to him. He asked me one day how many grandchildren I had, and I told him, and he said, "You're a piker." I've got 40.
How many do you have?
9.
You had 9, and that was nothing.
As a piker. Clock is running down, and Fossil goes to top the shoulders. You've been through that, John. And you and I have been through 20 years.
Yep. Those are 20 great years, and this is a great feeling right here. And now we're going to have the crowning, because the Giants won the NFC Championship today, and we're going to have the presentation out on the field.
So don't go away. They'll be setting up a platform in the middle of the field, and I'd imagine that most of these fans will stay right where they are, and they have.
Well, these are great fans. I mean, they waited, and this is the last game they're going to have here, and they enjoy this team. They enjoy the football. As you said, they were here when we got here this morning cheering, and they aren't going to leave. There's no one's going to leave. If you wait this long, and then you get a championship, and you love your team, you don't leave before they get their trophy.
I'll tell you what, when you look back at the scores of the 2 championship games that were played here, nobody has scored against the Giants in Giant Stadium in championship games. What a job by Jim Fossil and his staff.
see. Super Bowls.
This play of the game is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, and there were so many. We just picked the team of the game. The play of the day was carrying off the head coach. Vote for your favorite Dr. Pepper play of the day and enter the Dr. Pepper Big Game Day sweepstakes by logging on to foxsports.com. Indeed, Jim Fossil deserved it. Once again, the final score is the Giants 41. The Vikings nothing. Up next is the Southwest Airlines postgame show with JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris. Take it away, JB.
Welcome to the Southwest Airlines postgame show, brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
All right, Pat Summerall, thank you very much. And Jim Fossil certainly deserves the Gatorade treatment there. Fossil, since the guarantee, his team now has won 7 consecutive games, spanking the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game 41-0. As we welcome you back down, Phil Sott, an unheralded team that completely dominated in every way without an awful lot of superstars, Howie.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, JB. When Jim Fossil made that playoff proclamation, he took the newspapers out of the locker room. This season, he brought the defense together with the offense, turned over the reins of the offense to an offensive coordinator, and became more of an overall head coach. He had his finger on the pulse of this football team all year, knew when to say something to an individual to inspire him, knew when to chastise an individual, and it all paid off here. A totally different offense than we saw last week.
And let me be the first of many to eat a little crow right now, because I sure thought the Minnesota Vikings would come in here and put on an offensive show. The defense of the Giants today was absolutely phenomenal. They kept Dante Culpepper off stride all day long, and Kerry Collins, a young man, who would have believed it? Kerry Collins comes in over 300 yards passing in the first half of this game, in the biggest game of his life. A phenomenal performance.
It may have been possibly the greatest performance ever by a Giant team, as Kerry Collins, as Chris Collinsworth mentioned, with a record-setting day, guiding the Giants over the Minnesota Vikings. They head now to their 3rd Super Bowl, the first since 1990. Let's take you up on the stage and join our colleague, Terry Bradshaw.
Okay, thank you, JB. Now to present the George S. Halas Trophy, representing the NFC champion New York Giants. Please say hello to Mr. Ed McCaskey of Chicago Bears.
Terry, how are you?
I'm
glad
fine,
to
sir.
see you. I think it's only proper that George Halas' favorite daughter, Virginia, present the trophy to Bob Tisch and Welmara.
All right, Ed. How you doing, Virginia?
This has been a fun time, and we're so happy to be here to present the George Halas Trophy to the Mara family, our long association with them, to Bob Tisch, Ernie Accorsi, and especially Coach Jim Fossil and all the Giants. Congratulations!
All right, Mr. Mara. I would pick that trophy up, sir, but it's awfully heavy. Mr. Mayor, you've been around an awfully long time. Have you ever seen anything like this Giant football team?
No, I haven't, and bear in mind, this is the Giant team that was referred to as the worst team ever to win the home field advantage in the National Football League. And today, on this field of painter's mud, we proved that we're the worst team ever to win the National Football Conference Championship. And I'm happy to say that in 2 weeks we're going to try to become the worst team ever to win the Super Bowl.
Can I talk to Jim Fossil? Coach Fossil, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure Mr. Mayor and Mr. Tisch probably thought you were crazy, but since you made that infamous guarantee, your football team is now 8-0 and headed to Tampa for Super Bowl 35.
Well, I knew the type of character on this team, and the ownership
Bob Tisch, Wellington Mayor have always been behind me, so when I threw that out there, this team took off, and they haven't stopped since, and I'm real proud of them.
How surprised are you? Because I think a lot of these Giant fans and the millions watching on television are shocked, actually. You were able to shut out a high-powered offense. How did John Fox and his defense do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, people have underestimated us all year long, and our defense, they play so hard. People thought this game was going to be too big for us. Well, it wasn't going to be too big for us at all. And John had a great game plan. Those guys played hard. Our offense came out, and we wanted to attack. We were not going to play the game conservatively. We were on the attack.
I was surprised. Was that the game plan all along, was to come out, open up this game, open it up the first 2 minutes and 23 seconds of this game. You are up 14-0, and you've taken them out of this game. Was that the whole plan all along?
We thought that we could move the football and put points on the board with our offense and maybe take them a little bit out of their game, force them into play well in all three phases, the offense and the defense and special teams.
Okay, let me ask you one more thing. Since you made that, there was one New Yorker that made a guarantee many years ago in the Super Bowl. His name was Joe Namath. Are you going to make a guarantee right here on this stage tonight?
You're really trying to put the pressure on me, aren't you, Terry?
No, not me. I wouldn't do that.
Let me tell you something. These guys got the focus. They got the direction. I don't need to make any more guarantees. Those guarantees will be showed right out on that field.
Baltimore and Oakland, doesn't matter.
That's right.
Okay, congratulations, Coach. Kerry Collins. Wow. New York. Well, I'm sure the thousands of fans that are here today would like to say thank you, Kerry Collins, for an incredible performance. You broke an NFC champion passing record held by Troy Aikman today. You tied a record held by Sid Luckman of 5 touchdown passes. Just exactly how in the world did you pull this off today?
I had a lot of help. First of all, I want to thank the fans out there because you guys were incredible. And second of all, I want to thank my teammates because they gave me an opportunity when no one else would. And I'm more proud to be a part of this team and the way we fight and the way we play. I'm so happy, but we got more to do.
But, Kerry, it was the passing. I think everybody was kind of surprised. Some people last week coming off the game against Philadelphia, 125 yards. Everybody said they got to throw it, but this guy can't throw it. But today absolutely proved them wrong.
Well, that's what we say. You know, all week everybody was talking about the matchup of our defense against their offense. Well, we're sitting around all week saying we can throw the ball against this secondary, and we need to throw the ball. And, God, you look at how many guys caught touchdowns today, how many guys caught passes. It was just an all-around great effort from everybody.
Congratulations. Good luck in Super Bowl 35. All right, Michael Strahan. Well, ever since that guarantee, everybody's kind of turned this thing up a notch. Today, the John Fox's defensive scheme was outstanding. How in the world did you shut down this incredible Viking offense?
Well, you know what? One thing about being at home field advantage is that you got the 12th man, which is the fans, first and foremost. And then, when you got the greatest players that ever played in this stadium talking to you, stand on that sideline, we're going to come out and do it for those guys.
Go ahead, you're on a roll. Go ahead. All right, what about this game today? Not only the last time you played these guys, you shut Moss down. Carter has a big game. Smith rushes for 170 yards. Yet today, you shut all their weapons down. What exactly made that happen?
Well, one thing is that we all play together as a team. I don't care if you're on scout team. I don't care if you're on the starting team. When we're out on that field, we're all one. Like I said, one person ain't going to win it, and the team has to win it. We went out there as a defense. Everybody played together, limited to big plays, and right now we're on our way to Tampa to win the Super Bowl.
Congratulations. Where's Ike Hilliard? Where's Ike at? Where'd Ike Hilliard go? Mr. Merritt, go ahead.
I just have one more thing to say. I want everyone to join me in a salute to a great staff and a great bunch of players who don't believe everything they read in the newspaper or hear on talk radio.
Come here, man. You ready? Ike Hilliard, 10 catches today, when you looked at these cornerbacks, a lot of people said everybody could throw them, but last week we saw the Saints with a pretty good passing offense. They could not get it done. What happened today? How did you get open so much?
Well, we felt like we had a good game plan going into the game, and we wanted to come out and be aggressive. And we have to give credit, where credit is due. Every guy played hard, left it all on the field, and we were able to make a lot of plays.
Let me ask you this. Sean Payton's offensive game plan, I said you had to go after the safeties. You got past the corners and the gaps that were open today with a deep third.
Yeah, definitely. Sean played, called a great game. And a lot of guys, were open all day. Kerry made great throws. Offensive line gave him time. It was a total team effort.
Yeah, that offensive line. Pretty good offensive line, I would say. All right. NFC champions, the New York Giants, going to Tampa to play in Super Bowl 35. Now, back to James Brown.
All right, Terry, I think it's pretty abundantly clear what the Giants feel about all the talk, disrespect, overlooking them, underdogs. But guess what? They're heading to the Super Bowl in Tampa. And folks, there was no question that one of the keys to today's game was stopping the big play weapons of the Minnesota Vikings. As you heard Terry indicated, they did that sensationally. Certainly a lot of their responsibility fell on the shoulders of the model, Jason Sehorn. Talk about what you guys did to shut them down.
I mean, we give all our credit to God first of all, of course, because without him we wouldn't be here. Secondly, Coach Fox put together one hell of a game plan today. Thirdly, the front seven, he had no time. I mean, those guys up front put so much heat on Culpepper that he didn't have the time to throw the ball down the football field. And fourth, if you know they like to throw deep, get deep.
Yeah, one of the references you made when I spoke to you on Friday was the size advantage that the Minnesota receivers historically have all season long, throwing smaller DBs around. You guys physically mess up. You kiddingly mentioned the fact that you have essentially 4 safeties lining up in the defensive backfield. How much of a key was that?
It was a big key because one of the things we wanted to do today was get in their face, mess them up at the line of scrimmage, not give them those free releases down the football field, make it difficult on them, do things to disrupt their patterns. You know they like to throw the ball. Receivers don't like to get hit, and the more us 4 safeties can hit people, the better off we are.
Well, Jason, I'm going to be one of many people to eat a little crow right to your face here. Congratulations. Jim Fossil a couple of days ago, though, told me that you were back to your 97 form, and that has meant as much as anything else to this defense.
You know, the thing that I take the most gratification in...
That's Sid Luckman revisited.
It's the Stanley Cup all over again. That we won the game. You know, we walked away with this thing. We're going to the Super Bowl. My stuff on the football field, I mean, it was going to take time. I mean, and they gave me time to get healthy. My front seven put so much pressure, it makes my job easy.
This has been such a long road back from you for this knee injury, the broken leg. How rewarding is it right now to be on the doorsteps of the Super Bowl?
It's unbelievable. To come where I've come from, and to be here now is awesome.
Well, as we get set to take you to break, obviously a celebratory scene up here as Tiki Barber joins Jason Sehorn. We will come back to talk with Tiki Barber and the rest of the New York Giants, who are celebrating an absolutely improbable victory, 41-0, as you take a look at Kerry Collins heading off with the George Halas Trophy. Back here at the Meadowlands in a moment. Take a look at what got the New York Giants started. Kerry Collins right off the back, hooking up with Ike Hilliard, 46-yard strike. The Giants started on a strong note. They ended on a strong note, spanking the Vikings 41-0 as we bring you back here to the Meadowlands. And folks, talk about one-upsmanship. Tiki Barber of the New York Giants one-ups his brother Oronde Barber, who did not make it to the NFC Championship game, now going to Tampa. Talk about the attitude that you guys have maintained in the face of disrespect.
Well, I tell you, we've been doubted a lot this year, and the only thing that we can control is that we believe in ourselves. They've said we couldn't do things all year long, but we fought through that and just kept plugging away, and this is a game that typifies that. You know, they didn't give our offense any respect. Talk about Minnesota's offense and our defense, and Kerry Collins and the rest of us just went out there and put on a clinic on how to win an NFC Championship game.
Hey, Tiki, talk a little bit about Kerry Collins. When he came in here, his reputation was not a good one. A racist, an alcoholic, go right down the list. When did he win you guys over?
I tell you, he won me over from the very beginning.
Here comes the angry linebacker.
He's just trying to beat me up. I was mad the other day.
Come here, Jess. Come here, man. Just sit out right there.
Tiki, don't let him stop your answer. You have to get accustomed to this. I do every week. Just keep talking.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Last week, this offense looked anything but what we saw today. Talk a little bit about the differences in philosophy of the way you went into the Philadelphia game versus this Minnesota Viking defense.
Well, I'll tell you, from the very beginning last week, we got off to a slow start, and our defense was controlling the ball so much that our mentality was just don't mess it up. You know, don't give any turnovers, things like that. And this week, we knew with Minnesota's offense being as explosive as it was supposed to be, that we were going to have to attack. And we planned to pass from the very beginning, and we attacked.
Hey, Jesse,
there is no way you can shut out the Minnesota Vikings. How did you do? Now, I gave up my chair. So here, go ahead. You take it on. Say whatever you want. You were right. I was
you
wrong.
ought to kiss his head. What you
I'll tell you what, Coach Fox said it earlier in the week, and a lot of people looked him upside his head when he said that we could shut this offense out. A lot of people probably thought he was crazy to put him in an insane house. One thing about it, we stuck together no matter what the circumstance was, and we came out fired up.
They have not seen the Vikings, and especially young Dante, and once again, a second-year quarterback bites the dust in a playoff game. But going on the road, you now understand probably more than ever how important home field advantage is because of this crowd and the intensity that you feed from it.
You're absolutely right. I knew that 12th man and 13th man won't help us out. 13th man with the older guys like LT, Harry Course, all them guys came out. And one thing about it, I got that 12th man into it with my towel, and I knew they won't carry us.
Chris Collinsworth says he has eaten an awful lot of crow. Make him do the ultimate. Hold the hand out and let him kiss the ring. Hold the hand out.
You know what? It's only appropriate in my mind, these are the two guys on offense and defense. Tiki has driven that ship on offense in so many different ways this year. And this guy right here, as angry as, you know how much I like angry guys, Terry. This is an angry guy, and he sets a tempo for this defense all season long. Congratulations.
Wow, it is not an attitude that we certainly want to perpetuate. Getting up angry this morning wasn't such a bad idea. Jesse Armstead and, of course, Tiki Barber. Yes, they are, in fact, the NFC champions, the New York Giants. We will be back here with more of the celebration with the champs, the Giants, in a moment. Kerry Collins with 5 touchdown strikes, the first one to Ike Hilliard. He didn't stop there. He comes back and he hooks up with Greg Camella. The route was on, folks. The emotion was all their way. He comes back. Who does he hook up with? Joe Jurevicius. He doesn't stop there. Collins on a record-setting day, a 4th touchdown to Hilliard, and then to Toomer again, 5 touchdowns in NFC and an NFL championship record. More with Denny Green.